Today's video is brought to you by Assiniboia Downs Gaming and Event Center. And be sure to tune in to Trust the Profits Live Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern for Monday Night Lights, hosted by Matthew DeSantis.
Salutations and welcome everyone to our Monday Night Lights, Assiniboia Downs live stream here on Trust the Profits. I'll be your host throughout the evening. My name is Matthew DeSantis. You can find me on Twitter at the handle at Failed to Menace, and I will be joined with a little help from my friends later on tonight. Colin Sheehan from the channel is going to be on. You got Sean Patrick Nolan that's going to be dropping in. Keith, Each and Every Stride on Stable Duel is going to be coming on as well. We might have a few other special guests throughout the evening, but we're here to get you ready for tonight, Monday night, June 26th, run at Assiniboia Downs. We're going to stay with you all night, races 1 through 7. And before we get to the post time, which is at 8:30, we're going to get you covered. And we're going to talk a little bit about Stable Duel. And so, listen, if you're not playing Stable Duel, you got to get in the game because it's a lot of fun. It's a daily fantasy horse racing game in which you can put in some, essentially some lineups and build a team based upon the horses running in tonight's Assiniboia Downs card. Now, the beauty is there's a $5 contest and there's a $25 contest. The $5 contest, pretty straightforward. You get in, you have a $50,000 fantasy budget. You can select 10 horses. The prices of those horses are pegged upon their price on the morning line. You can build out your fantasy lineup. But like I said, obviously with the fantasy budget, you got to blend both long shots with heavy favorites to build the best 10. Points go to first, second, third, fourth, and fifth in each race. The team with the most points at the end of the 7 races, they get some money. And so, like I said, we got a $5, $25 contest. A lot of fun. Hope everybody's doing well in the chat. It's great to see so many familiar faces right at the wire. Always good to see my man. And Bobby D is in there as well in the chat. Just wishing a good Monday to everyone. And Bobby, right back at you, man. So glad to see everybody out there. And listen, I got my boy Todd O is giving out picks already. We haven't even gotten into the racing. And Todd's giving out all 7 winning selections. He's going 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, 3. There you go. We could stop the stream right now, maybe. I don't know. Todd might just go 7 for 7 tonight. Might pull on Irad Ortiz Jr. And just, go nuts with it. So always a lot of fun. Glad to see Penn State Scott joining in. Always good to see a fellow Penn State guy in here. And we are going to make some money north of the border tonight. We're not going to have to translate into loonies. We're going to just go straight to U.S. dollars tonight. We're going to make some money. Uncle Sully, glad to see you're checking in tonight, my man. Always good to see you in the chat. Going to be a Monday fun day for everybody in here in the chat. And listen, if this is your first time tuning in, it's a lot of fun. What we're going to do is it's pretty straightforward. We're going to get you ready for race number 1 leading up to the card. And then we're just going to kind of live bet and handicap throughout the night. We're going to have reactions to the different races. But the beauty is we're going to be able to show the races on the stream. So you'll be able to see the races. You'll be able to listen to the races, the whole 9 yards. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Assiniboia Downs has been a great partner with us. So, it's just going to be a good time. Right at the wire, yes, it is casual Matthew again because it is hot here it's not really hot. It's just muggy in Northern Virginia right now. And while I have my AC on, I don't need it on full blast. So we're going a little cash tonight. The shirt, the tie might have been a little too much. So we got a nice polo shirt. We got the little cap. This is kind of, when I'm a little more casual, chilling out at the track. This is kind of what you'll see me in a lot of times. I joke with people that I think I was born in a polo shirt and khakis because that's just kind of like my go-to look for everything. So listen, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. And we got a really good card. And I say this because, man alive, we got a couple of races. They're stretching them out, folks. We're not just doing 5 furlong quarter horse sprints anymore. We got some 7.5 mile long races. That always brings in a new dimension for a lot of these horses who have been stretching out and who have been running those shorter sprints. Now we're going 2 turns. The dynamics are a little bit different. I know if you based upon the data from last year, those inside post positions going 2 turns is deadly. That's really where you want to be. Now, that said, we have seen some winners early on this year at Assiniboia win going 2 turns from an outside post position. So, like I said, last year's track trends may be a little bit different than this year's track trends, but definitely something to take a look at. listen, it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, we're going to get you ready for Stable Duel. Colin's going to be joining here in a little bit. But listen, if you're not in the game on Stable Duel, like I said, it's a really fun contest. If you're playing tonight's Stable Duel game, drop your team name in the chat, because we always love to follow you. I think I follow most of you by now, so I can, I know, Hard Spun 77's in there, and I know a few others off the top of my head that, we're going to see, Tim or Riders Up is always in the chat, usually hanging out. So we got usually a lot, but let us know. And also let us know where you're tuning in from tonight. I always enjoy seeing that, who's coming in from north of the border, who's tuning in from overseas. We picked up a lot of new fans over the weekend based upon our Royal Ascot coverage. So we had a lot of new fans from over in Europe, and that's always been a lot of fun. So anyway, let us know kind of what's going on there and all that good stuff. So I see Keith is in the chat hanging out as well. So it's like I said, it's great to see everybody here tonight, and we're going to get you ready. So now listen, with Stable Duel, we're really focused on value plays. And so let's maybe talk about this card overall and kind of where I see some potential value plays. I actually think race number 1 is not a bad place to start. The number 2 horse, Perceability, I think is a really interesting horse. This is one who is stretching out, but I think is going to like to stretch out. Is 2 for 3 winning at 7 furlongs, and kind of did this same move last year. Kind of started off going a 5 furlong sprint and then stepped up into a 7 furlong route at this kind of optional claiming 10 level. The difference is, and you saw a big buyer speed figure jump from first to second time out. The difference is this year, this horse started off at 5.5 furlongs and recorded a much better speed figure off the bench than he did last year. So if there's a progression from that race last time out on June 6th, I think you could see something really nice from the number 2. That horse is 6-1 on the board, and in Stable Duel, again, because everything is pegged to the morning line, that's only going to cost you $5,000. I do really like the number 1 horse, Runaway Hurricane, in race number 2. I think that's another good one to really look at. That's a really honest horse. That's 4 for 5 in the money at 7.5 furlongs. And, granted, it's a non-winners of 2 lifetime. So there's not a lot of big numbers here in terms of number of winners, but this horse is 8 for 15 in the money. So this horse really honest all the time. 9-2 on the board, and on the morning line, only going to cost you $6,500 in Stable Duel. I think that horse has a good race in him as well. And I'm going to try my boy Carolina Gent one more time as well in race number 5. That's a massive bomb, and I know that. 25-1. The horse didn't run particularly well last time out, but also had just a horrific start, and he was running against the track as well. It was a speed favoring track that night, and he got bumped at the start and was 9 lengths back before you could say go. Made up a little ground around the far turn and coming for home, and then kind of flattened out late. But listen, I think this horse likes more distance. I know this horse likes more distance. The horse broke its maiden going a mile and a 16th. So I know it can do the distance, just a matter of whether he gets the setup. He's not a particularly quick horse out of the gate, which is a concern in race number 2. You go through, you look at a few of the other races. Obviously we have a big $50,000 stakes race. Going 6 furlongs, race number 3, the Golden Boy. We have some invaders coming in from Century Mile. That's going to be really fascinating. Number 2, Cuban Cobra, looks very, very tough in that race number 3 at Assiniboia. That could be a tough one. But if you think that they might just try to burn each other up front going 6 furlongs, the horse to consider is Saxon Saga, who's going to sit off of that pace and has nice late pace speed figures. The way that race might shape up might actually work out pretty well for the 6 in race number 3. You go to race number 4. I think, I was really bummed that the number 6 horse got scratched. That was going to be a horse that I was going to use. I do like the number 4, Get Up Early, at a little bit of a price, 6-1 with Jorge Carreno aboard. That's one I do like in this spot. Second back from the layoff. This horse has a nice jockey trainer combination. Carreno's been heating up lately, and lost to a nice horse in Jersey Shadow last time out, and like I said, is coming back here second time out off the bench. In race number in race number 5, I feel like you could go a lot of directions. I see a lot of people like Fingertip. I wouldn't blame you on that one at all. I kind of like Just for Charlotte, who finished second last time out. Granted, was closing like a freight train on a closing favoring track. But But, we'll have to see how the track plays tonight. But that's an interesting one at 8-1 on the morning line, who I like a little bit there. The race number 6, the main special weight race, listen, my favorite has been the number 8, Milan, Ohio. I really like that one a lot. If you're looking for a little bit of a value, All-Terrain Jane, who's coming back on just a week's rest, might actually be pretty good. And interestingly enough, Shelly Brown's pretty good, actually bringing horses back on a week's rest. And then in the final race, you have another big Century Mile invader, Quinto Sol, who I think is really good and is going to be really tough. But again, I think this is a wide open race. It's going a mile, and you look at a horse like Explosive, the number 4, with Antonio Whitehall aboard, obviously a pretty serious horse to consider. I kind of like Warrior's Map at a little bit of a price at 5-1 for Jerry Gorno, who's been heating up as a trainer. So I think there's a lot of ways to go, but there's a lot of value out there for you in this card. So listen, let us know. Let me know in the chat, who are you on? Who are you on tonight? Give us a long shot that you guys are thinking about playing. And right at the wire, I'm thinking of my family. Well, fortunately for me, it's just me and my dog. So I got enough food for my dog. I can afford to pay that. I didn't say I was going to place a win bet on Carolina Gent. I just said I was going to maybe use Carolina Gent in Stable Duel or maybe underneath in some way. I absolutely love it. So, Dave Barista, good to see you in the chat hanging out, my man. Good luck to you as well tonight. Brett, good to see you in here. Always a good time. Henry, good to see you in here as well. There's a couple of horses. I always think of Henry I always think of Pedigree when I see Henry's name pop up. And there's a few horses in here, and I'm forgetting in which race, but as we go through it, I'll remember. But there's a couple of horses in here that actually have like pretty big sire. There's a Twirling Candy in here at one point. So I know that there's some nice pedigree in tonight's card in a couple of spots. So it should be a lot of fun. So good to see Paul checking in from the other side of the pond. I know Paul's always checking in from Ireland. So Paul, glad to see you here tonight, my man. Good to have you hanging out with us tonight. And yeah, listen, we got 17 minutes to post for race number 1. And it looks like partly cloudy skies up there and 75 degrees, a little bit of wind. It does have some gray skies, but overall it seems pretty good. So just looking at race number 1 a little bit and diving into that, it's fascinating that right now, according to the odds, Gray Wizard is taking a ton of money, if I'm not mistaken. The number 6 horse, I think that's the horse's name. Gray Admiral. I'm sorry. Gray Wizard's another horse that I'm thinking of. Gray Admiral, I should say, it's taking a lot of money, not surprisingly, at 4-5. Listen, I understand why this horse is taking a lot of money. It's a good horse. It's coming out of Century Mile, came to Assiniboia last time out, ran a really, really close up second to Trumpum, and was making up a lot of ground late. And at 5.5 furlongs, you figure would like the stretch out, has run a mile and a mile and a quarter before. My only hesitation with Gray Admiral, especially at that price, is that he's 0 for 4 at this distance. I think, listen, he makes sense. I'm not going to say he doesn't make sense, because he certainly does. But I do think that there's some concern there at such a short price with a horse that, honestly, off the bench recorded a 57 Beyer speed figure, and the horse that I was talking about, the number 2, Purseability, recorded a 60. So it's not as if he towers over the field from a speed figure standpoint. I mean, he's got some nice races going back last year, a couple of 60s, 68, 69, 66. He's got some decent numbers in there. But gosh, you look at a horse like It's a Boy, the number 4 horse. Granted, this horse is coming off the bench, very long layoff. This is going to be a fascinating horse and maybe a little bit of an X factor in race number 1. This is a horse that's coming off the bench, has really only ever run on turf before, and has recorded some big speed figures on the turf in the mid to upper 70s. Only time on the dirt was not particularly good at all. Is coming off nearly a year layoff. But used to run at Canterbury and Turf Paradise and some other tracks, and now is coming up here. It's interesting. We've seen success with like turf and all-weather horses have done well at Assiniboia's dirt. I don't know about that horse in this spot though, and certainly you're seeing that horse kind of floating up a little bit on the board right now at 9-1. So not entirely sure. That's the one. That's kind of the direction I want to go in. And so just a couple of thoughts. Greg, good to see you too, my friend. Good to see you there in the chat. Penn State Scott, he's looking at Properly Connected in the third race as a potential play, and that's a horse that I can see why you would like that horse for sure, because I think if you like Saxon Saga, which I do a little bit, then Properly Connected is going to sit a pretty similar trip, I would imagine. And it has very similar running styles and dynamics. So if you think, as I think it's reasonable to assume in race number 3, that a horse like Blazing Bow, Cuban Cobra, and Chicago's Gray, if all 3 of them go out and are dead set on the lead, then you might want to have a horse like Properly Connected or like Saxon Saga sitting off and sitting off the pace and then making a run late. So I see your logic there with Properly Connected, and at a bigger price, I think is certainly a horse that makes sense. And I mentioned Jerry Gorno. This is he's trying to become, I think, the first time leading trainer 4 consecutive years in a row. So certainly, I think a nice horse to definitely consider to take a look at there. Lisa's hanging out in the chat, and she's giving out some plays. Race 1 exacta 2-1 and 2-5. So we both like the 2 here. Percibility, I like that horse a lot in this one. And we got Rodney here in the chat. Rodney, good to see you hanging out in the chat tonight. He's going with the big bomb, number 7 in race 7, Roaming Union. That is a big shot right there by Tom Gardapi Jr., who's had a lot of success, 23% of the meet with DeMario Bino, I should say, aboard. That horse threw up a huge speed figure last time out, 67 speed figure. If this horse can get close to replicating that while stretching out to a mile, that would be huge, and you're going to get at a good price here. One of the things I will say is, and our own Sean Patrick Nolan had said this, DeMario Bino is bringing home some prices tonight. He's been bringing home some prices. Even if they're not winning, they're hitting the board consistently. So it's definitely, I see where you're going with that. And definitely, I think a good play there, particularly in Stable Duel. That horse would cost you almost nothing in Stable Duel to play. So a lot of fun. Arthur, good to see you in the chat. And listen, man, it's we talk everything about horses here, and it absolutely does. It's just devastating news to hear about Two Phils, and we're certainly wishing the best for Larry Ravelli, Jareth Loveberry, all the connections, the ownership group of Two Phils, and everybody. And that's a really cool horse. If anybody watches the channel, you guys know that I was a huge fan of this horse going into the Derby. I just thought the world of him, and in talking a little with and hearing from Larry Ravelli, sounds like he's doing, the horse is going to be fine in terms of his overall livelihood. He's not a life-threatening injury, but certainly seems like we're not going to see him on the track again. And that front ankle injury is going to be a problem. And, they said, he's definitely out for 2023. And I'll be honest, what's the purpose of bringing a 4-year-old back? If I as a fan, I'd love to see 4-year-olds come back and run. From Larry Ravelli's standpoint, if you have an opportunity to make a deal with a stud barn and a breeding contract with Two Phils, it's hard to say no to that type of money and bringing the horse back maybe unnecessarily. So, that was a tough one. I see Lisa giving out a long shot play here as well. In the 5th race, she likes the number 8 in race number 5, Sky Tizzy. That's a good horse. And at 6-1 on the morning line, again for Jerry Gorno, I can see where you're going with that one. And that one, you're taking a big class drop, right? You're going from optional claimer 10s, stakes races, allowance company races, now down to a claiming 5. And so totally can see the logic here. And that's a 20% winning move for Gorno to go from allowance to claiming company, basically. And so this is a horse that I do think makes a little bit of sense here, and has run back on short rest actually pretty well. So this horse only ran 5 days ago. The shocking part is Jerry Gorno is actually 18% winning, bringing horses back on 5 days or less rest, with 73% in the money. So that's pretty incredible that you see a trainer come back with that much success and doing that. So pretty cool to see that horse, and we'll see how this one runs. But that's the beauty of Assiniboia, right? They just keep running them out, man, every single day. So a lot of fun there. And yeah, Todd, I'm with you that on Two Phil's, just let him chill out. He's done his job. I agree. He's given all of us who love him a real thrill. And so speaking of thrills and speaking of letting horses just do their jobs and hang out, I know a man who is very sad to see one of his favorites just hang out with Loggins. But Colin Sheehan, how are you doing? Thank you so much for joining me. And I'm glad to see we are part of the Navy Blue Polo Club today.
That's right. What's up, Matt? Good to see you. Glad to be joining everybody. I'm sorry a little late. Had a little rambunctiousness in the house, as they like to say, which can happen. I told Matt I'll be there for 8. I'll be there for 8, and then at 7:45, you got your 1-year-old kicking your 4-year-old, and your wife screaming. I said, "All right, Matt, I think I'm going to be a few minutes late."
That is okay. I got you covered. It's all good.
I know that if anybody can talk for 20 minutes solo, though, it's Matt. So I knew he'd be okay, right?
That is the beauty of it. I mean, I'll never forget my first semester teaching, and there I was like, and somebody said, "Oh, you're teaching." I was teaching a summer class, and it was only like 4 weeks long, and I met every other day. And I looked at the schedule and I was like, so this 9 to 12, like I'm supposed to talk this entire time. Just like, It's like my first semester teaching, and I'm just, rambling for 3 straight hours. So, it's, by the way, you arrive and the chat is blowing up. Keith, excited to see you in the house. Tado, excited to see you, the
Alex,
man, the myth, the legend.
Down the street, Alex.
Exactly. So great to see everybody. Great to have Colin here hanging out with us. But Colin, I know there was chaos in the house for you, but are you playing Stable Duel tonight? Do you have an entry in?
I did. I to be honest, had a hard time going through this card. Nothing really jumped out at me, and I didn't feel as confident. So I ended up only jumping in the $5 game tonight, not the $25 game. A little bit of just not feeling it, but I did want some action. And of course, we can't let the Assiniboia Downs nights go by without jumping in. So I did some handicapping late last night, and I finished it off today and put my stable in about an hour ago. I did like for a price in this first race, which I see Curtin stretched like, is this number 6, Persability.
Oh yeah, that's the 2, Persability. Yeah. The 6 is the favorite in the first one.
Bad star for Colin. Yeah, you're right. Number 2. Sorry.
It's all good because I like Persability as well. So that's why I knew you were talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the fact that this horse is 2 for 3 at the distance, 7 furlongs, as we've talked about. They're starting to stretch out here, right? So not only at Assiniboia Downs, but just in general, the 7 furlong race is a tricky distance. And you have horses that want to sprint. That's 5, 5.5, 6 furlongs. And you have horses that like to go long, as you all know, going 8, 8.5, 9 furlongs. So the 7 furlongs is when I'm looking at a 7 furlong race, I in particular pay attention to horses that have either had success not only at 7 furlongs, but also maybe at longer distances. And I don't know if you noticed tonight, Matt, there's a lot of horses that are not dirt horses that are coming in. So you have a lot that are coming off of Pauly, a lot coming, I'm like just writing down like this horse is a turf horse. So what do you do with it, right? A horse like the 4 here, It's a Boy, who's not only been racing basically primarily on the turf, but is also coming off of a long layoff. So 4-1 is actually 10-1 now. I saw the English Channel on top, which is obviously intriguing, but to me that screams turf as well. So a 20% trainer going turf to dirt, but I'd rather take a shot with a horse like the 2, who I saw had some success both at a mile and 7.5 and 7 furlongs.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that. I mean, I think my logic with the 4 is, listen, at 10-1, the 4 is a little bit more interesting than the morning line of 4-1. But what I'll say is,
you have to pay attention to that in Stable Duel, right? 4-1, I'm all set.
No, 4-1, there's no way I'm using that horse in Stable Duel. And so And my attitude with a horse like that is you need to show it to me. I need to see it off the bench. I just can't,
Yeah.
I can't use that horse right now. And so, yeah, that was a tough one for me, but yeah, I like the number 2 a lot. That's one who just, 2 for 3, winning at the distance, and is a really honest horse. 14 for 26 in the exacta. I mean, this is a horse that runs a lot of really good races. At
He's the little
Assiniboia.
boy.
So yeah. Yeah, now according to Todd O, we got some severe thunderstorms approaching. That could be quite the variable that we have there in at Assiniboia tonight. We got
I did actually also use the number 3 in here. It's kind of three.
okay.
3 ended up being kind of that last. I've only got so much money left. Where am I going to go?
Yeah.
And I saw that the trainer here is second off the layoff, hitting at 28%. Carl Anderson. This horse has been running on the poly synthetic. It's run on the synthetic 15 times and only ran on the dirt once. That was a 4th place finish here at Assiniboia Downs. That was the first race off a long layoff. So I'm hoping, a little bit of improvement off of that layoff. And remember, this isn't for a win. This is for, I got to spend $750, and who am I going to use? And that's where I ended up using. So I do have the 2 and the 3 in here in my stable.
Yeah. No, and I just want to, Barry's given out a couple of, I don't think this is the sniper. This is a different Barry, but Barry is given out, and hey to Barry, Blazing Bow in race 3. I do think it's an interesting horse from that inside rail. If he guns it, that's a really fascinating horse, because what he showed last time out was really, really big, and he could be the speed of the speed in that race, going 6 furlongs. So I see the logic there, and I know Rye Bread is an interesting horse that I've liked before, so definitely see his logic in that one. By the way, Tado clarified that the severe thunderstorms coming in are where he is in upstate New York, not actually in Winnipeg. So we should be okay here. And Uncle Sully, I see you in the chat, and rest assured, I would have actually loved to adopt your online courseware for my class. And I've been teaching online actually for about the last 10 years as well. So I still kind of keep my toe in the classroom by teaching online, even if I do more administrative work now. So definitely a big fan of that. So listen, it's we're getting close to post time. We got a 2 minutes to post. They're on the track. We got my guy Basil Faulty coming in the chat as well, wishing everybody good luck. Should be a lot of fun tonight. So listen, 4 to 5 for the favorite here. And I get it, but I'm not so overwhelmed by Gray Admiral that I feel like I want to use that horse, at least in Stable Duel, at such a short price, but such a high price in Stable Duel, short price pari-mutually. But he's a dangerous horse. He could absolutely get the job done here. And he is on my early pick 3 ticket that I have. So I'm going to actually put my early pick 3 ticket in the comments so people can see how I'm playing. This should be a fun one. That we have here at Assiniboia. I always like going 2 turns. 2 turns to kick things off, Colin. I mean, come on. That's about as good as it's going to get. So
that's how you know summer has arrived, when Assiniboia Downs is going 2 turns.
That's the truth. That's absolutely the truth. Colin, was there another long shot that you used tonight in Stable Duel that you thought looked pretty good?
Let's see.
Just later on in the card. I'm putting in my pick 3 ticket. That's I need you to filibuster for me for a second.
Yeah, you put me on the spot there, so I got to go through and see who I ended up using, because so I used number 3 in race 7. This is Mostradamus.
Oh yeah, I used that one.
That was a morning line 12 to 1, and the reason I used this horse was, again, unfortunately, I hate to go back to the same angle, but it was this is a race being run at a mile, optional claimer 15,000. This horse has 3 victories, a second and a third. And if you go back to last year at Assiniboia Downs, the first race was solid. Obviously, the first race this year and even the second race, they were a little bit below than what this horse did as a 5-year-old. But if he gets back to what he did in July and August of 2022, I think it puts him right in company. And so remember, it's stable duel. You're thinking some strategy, so you're not necessarily looking for horses that will win, although it would be great. You're also looking for horses that are at $750, not going to cost you negative points. So in this one, I'm trying to find a little bit of a positive points with a long shot. And another reason I went with that horse in this particular race was I just thought it was a little bit more wide open. The 4 explosive, the 1 house limit. I actually thought house limit, and I'd be interested if you were interested at all in house limit in that last race, because when I went to use them, I actually did use them, and I'm only 2 out of 131 stables that use this 1 house limit. So, that usually in the past has made me very like, oh man, I'm clearly not seeing it right, so need to toss them and find someone else. I have been angered by that angle of me thinking that way, because to me, it's like I like a horse and no one else likes him. So now I have an advantage, hopefully, over everyone else, as opposed to thinking that I'm not seeing it correctly. And so tonight I decided to go with that horse that's only used in 1% of the stables, and we'll see if it helps out.
Yep, absolutely. And shout out to Inopva. I always like it when is hanging out in the house tonight. And he, stables have closed as it's past post time. It's time for real capping. I put my early pick 3 ticket in the chat. I think it was a $1 base. Now, granted, the default is a 20-cent base, so you could pay these for very inexpensive tickets. But I played a $1 base, and it was a $12 ticket overall. So it was a pretty inexpensive ticket that I put together. But that's just, like I said, I put in let's see, I have it up here on the screen. So it was a $1 pick 3. I went 2-6 over 1-2-6 over 2-6. So a lot of 2s and 6s. Basically, if 2 and 6 run well, the first 3 races, we're going to do okay. So that was kind of how I went ahead and played this one. But see a couple people playing in this one a few different ways. I got Kevin in the chat hanging out. He's going with the 6-5-3 boxes. Inopfa is going with the key box 6 over 4-5. Good luck to Inopfa on that one. And so this is going to be I think a fun first race as they're getting them ready here for post in race number 1. And by the way, Colin, this is a comment only that's going to be important to you, but I want to let you know El Hombre has checked in. El Hombre is alive.
I saw that. Thank God.
For those of you who are not part of the Trust the Profits chat, El Hombre has been noticeably quiet for the last 24 hours, which is always a concern.
Yes.
But he is
to the point where we were texting, not through our messaging, but more to the phone and saying, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" And I don't know what it says about us that he didn't answer us for 3 hours and we didn't do anything beyond that. We're kind of just like, yeah, well,
Yeah, if it got to be tomorrow, then I think I would have probably tried to figure out a way to reach out to his wife. But it's we're all right. He's alive. He's here. So he left his phone at home today. He said, "All right." So
look, I nailed it, right? Didn't I say?
Yeah,
I said,
no, you did. You nailed it. That was the call. You were correct.
I'm in the wrong handicapping business. I should be handicapping why people don't answer their phone for a certain amount of time.
Exactly. I love it. So listen, all is back well and right with the world in Trust the Profits, but they're getting them ready here. And by the way, shout out to everybody who's tuned in. We got 61 people hanging out here with us on YouTube. Make sure to press that like button. Takes 2 seconds. Make sure to do it. It helps us spread the word, helps us show the folks in Assiniboia how much engagement we get. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everybody playing the track, not just on Stable Duel, but pari-mutually as well. Colin and I both, we genuinely love playing this track. This is a lot of fun. So it's going to be a good time playing this one together. So press that like button. It takes 2 seconds. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to do that as well. So this is... it's interesting. They're taking their sweet time getting these horses to the post here in the first race. So I wonder if there was curious if there was like a technical issue, because usually they're pretty good about starting on time. But I thought
is your feed up to date? Have you refreshed that?
I thought so.
Because I got them on my TV walking in.
Okay.
And it's 8:35, so they should
yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So they are walking right in. Yeah, here we go.
They're on.
So yeah. So they're on. All right. So here we go. I always get confused if it's 8:30 or 8:35, because I think last week it was 8:30. and then it just changed. So, all right. So here we go. They're going into race number 1. We'll turn things over to Kurt here in a second once they get everybody loaded in. But listen, I'm looking at the 2 in this one at a little bit of a price. The 6 is your favorite. I just don't see the 6 as being a 4 to 5 favorite in this race. I mean, maybe he proves me wrong and wins for fun, but I think this race is closer than what the board is showing right now in this particular one. So, we'll have to see. But Perciability, the number 2 has gotten bet down quite a bit. So listen, we'll kick things off. Race number 1 here, going 2 turns, and we'll turn things over to Kurt on the call here in the first race.
And just waiting on Gray Admiral, a 4 to 5 favorite to the outside. The field is set. They're at the post. And they're off. Stumbling at the start was It's a Boy. From the inside, Perciability, showing some early speed and takes the lead by 3/4 of a length. Merrimack on the outside in second. Gray Admiral, 2.5 lengths off in third on the outside. On the inside of him, It's a Boy. Another half length back to Ethan's Animal, and the Boss Factor will be the early trailer. A slow opening quarter in 25-2. Perciability nursed to that opening lead by 1.5 lengths. Ethan's Animal, taking advantage of the rail, has now moved up to second in between horses. Merrimack, 3 wide. Gray Admiral. Then it's back to It's a Boy. And the trailer Boss Factor only 5 off the lead. The half sped up to 49-2. And Perciability still with that lead by a length. Ethan's Animal looking for a seam on the inside. Gray Admiral, 3 wide, ready to make a late run. Perciability, more in the tank, and starts to pull away. Perciability nursed him to sleep early and is gonna go gate to wire. Perciability takes it. Ethan's Animal second best. Gray Admiral in third. Fourth to the Boss Factor.
Well, there you go. I don't know if that one could have gone a little bit better for me and you. I mean, we both like Perciability quite a bit here. Didn't get the same price that we got on the morning line, but that one, I mean, he really walked the dog up on the front end in terms of number 2. So once I saw that first fraction of 25-2, I was like, I feel pretty good about this race. So that was a good one. Just got out there to the lead and was able to control the pace. There wasn't really any other speed in the race.
It's always good when the jockey's looking back on the backstretch.
I saw that as well. I was like, is he Flavien Prat on Flightline? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, you're going, okay, either I'm going to be cursing him, or he knows he's got kind of this race in hand. And both had him. I actually singled him in a small pick 3, so I'm happy with that. But unfortunately, I took that 3 who finished 6th, so that hurt my stable duel. But that was a cheap horse, so what are you going to do?
Yeah, and we like to use the word inexpensive here. We don't call horses cheap. No, Barry used to get on me about that. So Sniper, because when he works for Tampa, occasionally when he works for Tampa Bay Downs, they're always like, don't say the word cheap. And so they're like, it's inexpensive. And so he always gives me a hard time with that one. But yeah.
Break it from the vocabulary.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, we got our boy Joe Palmentary hanging out in the chat with us. Joe, always good to see you checking in from Orlando. Hope things are good down there. It might actually be more humid up here in Virginia than it is down in Central Florida right now, which would be pretty shocking. So Paul, that's awesome. So Paul's overseas and he was able to get 7-1 on Perciability. That's fantastic
Nice.
to get that price. Well done, Paul.
I was actually just kicking myself saying, I singled him in the pick 3, but to not have him right now, just in this race hurts, because now you're, you liked it. We both like this horse. We got him home, but I didn't make any money off him. And this is typical column betting where I'll get through leg 2 and then I singled in race 3, the 2. He was Cuban Cobra was kind of the horse I said there wasn't a lot that I really liked on the whole entire card.
Yeah.
Cuban Cobra was kind of the one that I was like, well, I feel like this horse is a pretty solid winner. We talked last night about horses coming in from Century Mile, and how they've had success. And you pointed out the workouts. You didn't say which horse, but I assume this was the horse that you were talking about when you said it to me last night. And then I did my handicapping after we talked. I'm like, oh, I see the one. Actually, the 2 and the 3 in that race. Were the ones I'm like, this must have been the one that Matt was talking about. So he was one that I felt was confident. So I singled 2 in this first leg, and then in the second leg, I liked the 1 Runaway Hurricane. And I also used the 6 because I thought that was a pretty good class drop, which we'll get into. But I have 2 with the 1-6 with the 2 is where I'm trying to get through this pick 3.
Yeah, no, I like it, and I need to check my $25 stable. Excellent, I did use the 2. In my $25 stable, and I used them both. Excellent, because I have 2 $25 stables and 3 $5 stables for tonight. So listen, we're going to put a bow here on race number 1. Purseability pays $8.90 to win. Ethan's Animal pays $3.90 to placing. Gray Admiral pays $2.10 to show. The $1 exacta pays $13.85. The $1 try pays $36.50, and the $1 superfecta pays $64.95. So there you go. Race number 1 in the books. And that was a fascinating race insofar as it's not as if you go back and look at Purseability. This horse does have some decent speed going 1 mile and 7 furlongs. Like, you go look at those last 2 races of last year's meet at Assiniboia Downs in August and September of 2022, and you see him going to the lead and doing well. And then you see some of these other races where this horse sits a little bit more mid-pack. I think this was a great job by the jockey of just understanding, like, this horse does better if we get this horse out in the lead, and nobody else was really making a move to get to the lead. It just kind of took it, and like you said, was able to look behind him on the backstretch and been like, all right, well, nobody's really coming for me, so I'm just going to keep loping along up here on the front end.
And like I said, the angle I really liked this horse was success at the distance, right? So like we said, that 7 furlongs, sure, he gets out front, but you also didn't necessarily have to worry about him tiring because he's shown the success at 7.5, 7 furlongs, 1 mile. Whereas a lot of the other horses in this race, I mean, It's a Boy had been running longer, but as we talked about, this was a layoff and that was all running on the turf. And that horse actually broke pretty bad. And was kind of immediately behind. But even the 6 Gray Admiral did have a victory at mile and the 16th at Century Mile last year. But like you had mentioned, just the price, man, you can't accept that price in Stable Duel or in parimutually.
No, that was a tough one to swallow. I think that was just a horse I just didn't like in terms of how he stacked up from a price standpoint compared to the rest of the field, especially once the betting opened and you're getting, under even odds on a horse like that. So hard one to look at there. In race number 1, go ahead.
And Sean Patrick, is Sean joining us tonight? I haven't talked to you today about who's coming on with us.
I don't know.
Sean wasn't here, so Antonio Whitehall doesn't. If Sean's not here, then you're a little bit better playing against the Whitehalls. If he's here, or he's about to leave, then just stack the deck on the Whitehalls because that's when they come through.
That is absolutely when they come through. And also, I don't know if you were here last week. I know it was Carson and Keith were here last week.
You sold all the tickets last week.
I did sell all the tickets.
You didn't save me a seat on the bus.
You were in the chat. We relegated you. It was like you were in soccer. You got relegated to the chat. It was funny. Sean left with like 2 races to go, and he goes, Demario Bino has been really getting a lot of big bombs home. And the very next race, Demario Bino gets home like a 25-1 horse. And I'm like, Jesus, Sean. Sean's sharp, man. He knows what he's doing.
That's what you call a walk-off.
That is indeed what you call a walk-off. So that was awesome. Sean might be joining a little bit later. I've been in communication with him earlier today. So, there you go. So see John hanging out here that he's good friends with your coach Lou DeSantis. I don't know Lou DeSantis. I don't know a lot of other DeSantises. I know Blaine, my dad, and I know Nathaniel, my brother, and that's about it. And I know Ezio, my great uncle, and I know there's DeSantis and there's Sweet DeSantis, who are both runners, and so I do know both of them. They don't win that much, but I do I do know both of them quite well.
I won on one of those though. Remember, I bet him to show. I was like, "Oh, hey
Yeah.
Matt, there's a horse named DeSantis winning. I'm going to bet him to show," and he was a bomb, and I ended up making like $30 on that.
I think it was Sweet DeSantis, and it was down at Tampa because I did too. Because he was a huge bomb. Because DeSantis goes off as the favorite a lot of times up at Parks and in like optional claim or maiden claiming races. And so it was Sweet DeSantis at Tampa. He finished third that day at like 25-1. Yeah, I put a show bet on him as well. It's like I don't have that much confidence in this horse. Like we'll see what happens up happening. So, all right. Well, listen. Let's head along to race number 2, and listen. We'll update the stable duel standings as we go through the night. But let's head from 1 7 furlong race to another 7.5 furlong race. And this one is a $5,000 claimer, non-winners of 2 lifetime. And it's for 3-year-olds and up. And, I know you mentioned really liking the number 1 horse, and I did too. Runaway Hurricane. What made you kind of fall in love with this one?
Well, if you know Colin Sheehan and you know at 7 furlongs he's looking for horses at distance, then when you throw 7.5 furlongs, that's an even stranger distance to try and find. So my first note is it's 7.5 furlongs. Let's look for the horses that want that distance. So Runaway Hurricane, 7.5 2 back. That was last year in September. Finished third by a neck. Now, don't miss this in your past performances. On September 6th of last year at Assiniboia Downs, this horse lost to Percibility, who we just saw win race 1. So I said, pay attention. Obviously that was a long time ago. It's not like, oh, it was last week and that's a key race now. Right. But I just like to give the tidbits, give them for the people here. So that's worth a like button, I think. The number 2 at 9 to 5. The concerns for me on number 2 were the assigned speed figures weren't really he only raced 2 that I see within distance of the par, and at 7 furlongs at Century Mile lost by 11 lengths. Now you get Mr. Sean Patrick Nolan's Antonio Whitehall, so you can't ignore that, but I just thought 9 to 5, definitely not putting that horse into my stable duel. Number 3, this horse has won at a mile, so okay, it checks that distance box. But I noticed that this horse was previously trained by Shelley Brown and did not really do its best running when it was under Shelley Brown. So it moved to Rodney Cohn, who I'm not familiar with. That's where that win came at a mile. Is now back with Shelley and has a 7th and an 8th place finish to the credit. So 20-1, I think we're okay passing. Number 4, Done Right. I wrote down this horse seems to do poor on the dirt. The best races were run on the synthetic. One positive is that you do get the class drop here. So this horse ran last time in a claiming 10,000 for non-winners of 3. Now he drops to claiming 5,000 for non-winners of 2, which is actually interesting that they put him in the claiming for non-winners of 3 coming up from. Carolina Gent was a horse I remember us kind of 2 times on the show at long odds, hasn't run much. Now the 6 was the other one I was interested in. I like the class drop. We just talked about that claiming 10,000 dropping down. Finished a 2nd and a 3rd. The speed figures were a little light. Cumberbatch, 12% jockey, not terrible. I think I ended up using this. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure I used the 6 in my stable as well.
The thing about the 6 is this is a horse that clearly likes going the distance. I mean, has won going a mile and 16th, has run well going longer, has run well on the synthetic at Woodbine, and has some nice races to run back to. This is now 3rd back in the form cycle for this horse. And, this horse has like a 56 buyer, a 54 buyer, in his back pocket, which would be more than enough to win this race in all likelihood. So that was one I definitely took a look at he ran 2 decent races, but
put all the money on the 2. Put all the money on the 2.
Yeah, exactly. Put all the money on Antonio now that Sean Patrick Nolan has arrived.
Here we go. The Whitehall Express has arrived.
I love it. Sean, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Doing well.
We're 1 for 1. We're 1 for 1.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. So we're crushing it tonight. We hit Percibility in race number 1. Now what hat do you have on tonight? What's your hat that you got? Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
So No, we were just talking about your boy Antonio Whitehall in that he's cooled off. You know, he was at 30%,
really
he's down to 23%.
Yeah.
You know, what the hell's going on? You know, it's just
his family just redid the mortgage the other day, on the house, exactly. All those second and thirds just don't pay like they used to.
It is funny that he did have a bout of seconditis, it feels like, last week, where he was
really
running well, but just kept finishing underneath.
Just couldn't get there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, it's a great problem to have, actually. A lot of jockeys would like to have seconditis.
Exactly.
We're getting ready here for race number 2. And, this is kind of the fun part about Assiniboia is now they're stretching these horses out and they're going, 7.5. I'm interested, Sean, when you capped this one, whether it was for Stable Duel or just straight up, kind of what was your thoughts on this race?
Sure. Yeah. So this one was by the way, kudos to hello, by the way. First.
Yeah. Hello to Carson.
Beautiful lady joining us. Hey, Carson.
Oh, hello. How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. We had a winner in the first race, and I'm glad to see that you are safe and doing okay in the Midwest after all those storms yesterday.
Yes. That was pretty rough. We lucked out though. So we just had to go down to the basement and camped out for a little bit.
Hey, just a fun camping adventure down to the basement. That's all, so good times. Good to see you here. But, Sean, you were saying about race number 2. Where were you looking in this one?
Yeah, I know obviously the 2 has a big chance with Antonio, and that I think that horse kind of but I looked to the 1 Runaway Hurricane here. I'm on the Bree Chow bandwagon here, if you will. And I just really thought the stretch out and everything. I think this horse is definitely going to appreciate that last effort, and I think tonight will only help him. Tonight, I think he needed that last race, and I think tonight could be especially value wise, especially stable duel wise. I looked at hi everybody, by the way, in the chat. But but I looked at it versus 65 versus like 9,000, and. Thanks, Sally. But that I looked at him and he was my pick. Obviously, Antonio was my second pick, but I just thought, especially stable duel wise, I just used the 1 Runaway Hurricane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is so. I know Bree's in the chat because Stable Duel is popping in on the chat. So it's great to see everybody is playing in the games tonight. It's a lot of fun. I saw we got a ton of people were playing in the $5 game tonight. I want to say we had, was it 75? Yep. 79 people were playing in the $5 game tonight, 44 in the $25 game. So great participation in both. So you love to see that.
I want to say kudos to Stable Duel because I love the new feature of adding how many horses the other stables have left.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done your app update, because you guys, I saw it in the chat and I'm like, that's weird. I don't see it. And I was like, maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. You got to go to the App Store, update your Stable Duel app, because the new feature now is you'll see horses that they have left. And that's just a huge amount of information as you're trying to follow along live as to what's happening and where am I and, possible points that I could get. It's great to know, okay, the guy in front of me doesn't have any horses left. I've got 2. So, as long as we can not get negatives, maybe we're going to jump him. And you can kind of do it a lot faster. So thank you so much for that update.
Yep, absolutely. Sean, we are at Assiniboia. That's what we do on Monday nights here on Trust the Profits, Assiniboia, north of the border. That's where we're hanging out. And glad that you're joining us as well. I see a lot of people excited in the chat as well. Lisa is playing in race number 2. She's got the 7-1 exact box 7-1, exact box 7-6. So that's where she's going. So definitely like that 1 we talked a little bit about. Colin, you talked about that 6 a little bit as well. That you liked my boy Christian. So
that's an interesting. And Lisa, maybe you can throw in the chat because I think it's an interesting strategy of not boxing all 3 of them. Because if it comes 1-6, you'll be kicking yourself. So I'm curious, do you like the 7 that much more? And in that case, maybe you think about keying it. Just curious if Lisa wants to give us some feedback on. I couldn't do that. I would pull I'd pull my hair out knowing I have 7 6 and what was it, 7-1, but
Yeah.
not having 1-6, because I know for sure it would come up 1-6.
Colin speaking like a true Boston fan right there. And as a Philly fan, I can identify with that. You just assume like the worst possible thing is going to end up happening.
That's
in that
not a
situation.
Boston fan. That's a gambling with Colin fan. That's,
That's true. That's true. So see, they're out on the track. So let's pull up the stream here.
Yeah.
Just to let people get a little bit of a look. We got a few minutes to post. And
I could argue, just to continue that thought, I could argue that the reason you don't want to do that is payouts. So the one at 9 to 5, the 6 at 2 to 1, that would probably make sense to me. But in that case, what you might want to do is just bet a little bit more on the 1-6 as opposed to just having coverage on the 7-1 and the 7-6. You know what I mean? Like if you know your 1-6 payout is going to be, let's see, what is it? Give me a second to pull it up.
Yeah, but So listen, there's a lot of angles to play, and the one has become now the chalk. I mean, it's interesting. Yeah. This is the difference between Stable Duel, of course, and Parimutually. Stable Duel, we were talking about what a great deal the one was in Stable Duel because it was 9 to 2, $6,500. Well, now the one is 9 to 5, and that's quite a shift. And now when you're using the one, even if you like the horse handicapping and ahead of time, now you have to ask yourself, do I like the horse at 8 to 5? It's still, and that's a big question, and that's a different one to kind of ask.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that you just said it, Matt. You nailed it on the head. I singled him in the Stable Duel, but would I single him as a win bet, at 9 to 5? Antonio's horse almost, you could argue, looks better value at 3 to 1 to win.
Yeah.
I'm saying versus the 1 to 3 to 2. You know what I'm saying? So I may bet Antonio. I may pick the one for Stable Duel, but I may bet Antonio at 3 to 1, not because I like Antonio, but this horse is just better value, I think, at 3 to 1 than the 1 to 3 to 2.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agreed. To see how the shift has taken place here. Stretch and Kurt are sharing their picks as well. Stretch is going 1-2-6 in this race. Purseability was, or not Purseability, I'm sorry, Runaway Hurricane was my top pick in this one. I, of course, am our friend Chase Sessions plays a very funny little drop on his shows from Saturday Night Live, referring to something called Dirty Little Pig Boy. And he jokes that he's a dirty little pig boy for all weather to dirt horses. And that he will always play all weather to dirt. Yeah. And I am a dirty little pig boy for the number 5 Carolina Gent. This is a horse I continue to make excuses for, and I still think is going to come in at a big price. And I'm just like, this horse likes distance, and it got sawed off at the start last time and had a terrible run, and it was up against the track. And I just think going 2 turns is going to do this horse well because it's not a horse that's very quick out of the gate, but I think might like the distance. So I'll give a shot to I'll give a minor shot to the number 5, who I sprinkled in 1 or 2 of the Stable Duels just because of how inexpensive he was in this spot. So
he's due. He's due.
Yeah, he's due. Exactly. He's Carson, where are you going in this one, Carson?
Well, I think we have to ring the bell for you since you are a Carolina Gent. I think that.
Well, it's very nice of you to say. That's true. That's true.
I went with the 1 as well, but now that the money is moved, I wish I would have gone with the 2.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
I'm speaking, of course, with Stable Duel. There's still a chance to wager too.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the right the wire. Yeah, I'm doing it again. We're moving the lines here on Trust the Profits. And so when people hear that we like the 1, suddenly it just gets bet down. So I know Jeffrey, he's like this 3. He was talking about this 3 earlier today, and he actually had a nice little tweet out there and explaining the logic behind why he liked the 3 in this particular spot. So I know this was one he liked a little bit in this race. And that was one White Rose Spirit, now 3rd back on the layoff, and might just be able to show what is his best stuff in this particular race. Does have a win going the distance, which Colin and I talked about as being important. And Sean, I was making reference to this before you came on, but last week you said DeMario's getting a lot of long shots home during this meet, it feels like, and he's getting a lot of long shots up on the board. So obviously he's riding those horses quite well. This year.
Did anyone see, by the way, the other day he went to Woodbine and came in 2nd?
No, did he really?
He did, with
great.
a bomb. With a bomb. So
it.
he's not only doing it here, he's doing it on the East Coast as well. That's
I
great
love
to
it.
see.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So by the way, we should just be bowing down because one, Sean Patrick Nolan is in first place right now in Stable Duel. And just absolutely crushing competition as you hit the trifecta in race number 1.
Oh my God.
With Percibility, Gray Admiral, and Ethan's Animal. So quite the job there. Race number 1, just lapping all of us. That's impressive.
This is the Andy Warhol 15 minutes of fame where I'll take my bow now. Like that was like at Meadows the other day when I was up for like 6 races. I'm like, I just waited for the roof to cave in, but I'm like, this while it's a beautiful, beautiful sky up above, I'm just gonna enjoy it,
Yeah.
One race.
Yeah.
Take a picture of it and put it on your wall.
Exactly. I love it. So
are you seeing the banner within the app now too? Did you guys see this?
Yes, I did see this. I was going to bring that up. So
Trust the Prophet. Hang out with Trust the Prophets.
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
No, this is very nice. Bree takes care of us. I tell you, Bree takes care of you. She was not able to tune in today. And I feel like there's been lots of childcare issues throughout the day here on the stream. Bree has her own childcare issues that she's dealing with, and so I know. Yeah, no, it's really great. So if you're just tuning in from Stable Duel, really appreciate that. Make sure to press that like button. We got about 70 people here in the YouTube chat tonight. Always a lot of fun. Best of luck with everybody's bets as they get them loaded in here for race number 2. We're going 7.5 furlongs, 2 turns, and this is a $5,000 claimer, non-winners of 2 lifetime. So one of these horses is going to get a picture taken for the first time in a while, potentially, and wishing everybody the best. And we're going to turn things over to Kurt here as they get them loaded in. But Runaway Hurricane, who was a nice price on the morning line at 6-1, now 8-5. So we will see how this one continues to play out and whether or not there's smart money or not in race number 1. So, or race number 2, I should say. So we'll turn things over here to Kurt to get us ready for the call.
Just waiting on Done Right.
I love the horse in the back who's doing this Paco Lopez imitation of the circle thing.
See, I knew exactly what you were talking about. Yeah.
How's it go? Show us.
Keep your eye on the 6 here. Keep your eye on the 6 because he's going to jump.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Yep. The 6. Yep.
My boy Christian fractious in the starting gate.
Very fractious. Jockey's off. I don't know what the starter was doing down by the horse's legs there before, but that I know horses do not typically like that. I was going to say horses are not a big fan of people at their legs.
They're all set. They're at the post.
Here we go. Oh, now the 4's all acted up.
Done Right a bit fractious.
Everybody's fractious. Yeah. So everybody's a little keyed up here for this second race.
Yeah.
Looks like now they finally got everybody in line.
Is it humid up there tonight?
It is. It is humid up there tonight.
Yeah.
They're all set once again.
Yep. And they're
at
off.
Post. And they're off. From the inside, Arrogance away well, but White Rose Spirit.
There's the 3 getting out there.
The lead and is going to get it. Done Right on the outside in second. Arrogance hugging the rail in third in between horses. Carolina Gent on the far outside. My boy Christian. And then it's going to be Great Realization and Runaway Hurricane. Those 2 are the early trailers. Battling on the front end. White Rose Spirit and Done Right. They're nose and nose. Settled back in behind a length off it. My boy Christian on the rail. Arrogance looks to have a mid-full in between horses. Carolina Gent. Now Runaway Hurricane starting to show some run 4 wide. And the trailer still Great Realization. On the inside, it's White Rose Spirit. Now getting a second challenge from my boy Christian. Runaway Hurricane 4 wide, getting ready to engage.
The Runaway Hurricane's being run like he's flight line.
I mean,
let's go.
They hit the head of the lane. Runaway Hurricane with the best stride now opens up by 2. Fighting back, White Rose Spirit. Also, my boy Christian, but this is all Runaway Hurricane running away on the field and is going to win by 5. Great Realization and Arrogance Battle for second and third. Fourth, we'll go to White Rose Spirit.
There you go.
Well,
So
all four
we
of
are.
us, all four of
Yeah.
us like that one. And 9-2.
Yeah.
I know, when you handicap, you see 9-2. You're thinking you get a nice price. We can't help the Trust the Profits big bank roll that they're bringing in and crushing up in Assiniboia Downs. But for those of you that all trailed, we gave you another 9-5 winner. So we're good.
We're good. And I'll say that I will say Jeff
Carolina Gent's still running.
Carolina Gent finished 6th. I don't want to hear any slander. Stop it. It didn't finish last. But I will say I am now officially off Carolina Gent. So I'm not going to be playing that horse ever again.
But a great pick on that 3, man.
So he's gonna win next out. Key him up next time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the 3 ran a hell of a race because that horse was pressured early and then pressured often as well. And it ended up finishing 4th, but that horse ran a big pick. Ran a big race.
They're both in the same barn. I was wondering if they were workout buddies. They seem to kind of pack along together nicely. I didn't look their workout, but
yeah. No, that's a good point. Runaway Hurricane gets the win here at 9-5. And we got to ring the bell for Chavian Chow and Bree Mott because it's always a good time when Chow wins. I know Bree's always excited about that. So drop a Chow gif on social media if you want and tag Bree because she'll love it. She can't get enough Chow gifs. Win for Tiffany Husbands as well as the trainer there. For Runaway Hurricane, who, just looks so much the best. And this is a horse that's now 5 for 6 at this distance. First win at the distance, but was 4 for 5 in the money at this distance prior. So big step up off the layoff and, made a pretty big move, kind of a pretty big middle move to kind of move up there 4 wide down the backstretch and then was just so confidently handled. And Bree's hanging out in the chat, and this is great. And she is she's rooting for Chow there in the chat.
Go, Bree.
So love it.
The Chow train.
The Chow train is going well. So hope people cashed on this one a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to cash too much, but I do know that Lisa got the 1-7. Colin, we were talking about, the 1-6 and the 6-7 and all that. So you got the 1-7. So there you go with great realization as in second place, and then Arrogance in third, and White Rose Spirit finishing 4th. But like I said, White Rose Spirit gave me that was a heck of a run there from that horse.
That was a heck of a run by that 3.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to stay on for second. I was like, wow.
Yeah, no, I did too. That was really big because it repelled the first challenge and then, just kept the wave kept wearing down.
Yeah.
So here's the payouts for race number 2. Runaway Hurricane plays $560 to win. Great Realization pays $340 to place, and Arrogance pays $270 to show. The $1 exacta pays $8. The $1 try pays $25.30. The $1 superfecta pays $211. 10. That's a nice thank you, White Rose Spirit, for that trifecta, that superfecta. And the $1 double plays $11.65. And Colin now has on his Assiniboia Downs hat. So this is
2 in a row. You get the hat. 2 in a row. You get the hat.
We now mean business.
I guess I should have waited for the 3rd for the hat trick, right? I should have.
Way to just jinx us in race number 3. Cuban Castro is going to finish dead last. Yeah, all right, there you go. That's true. That's true. You throw it after when it's the hat trick. So there you go. So Runaway Hurricane getting the job done there in race number 2. And now we head to race number 3, which is a $50,000 stakes race on the card. Yeah. And this is a big one. And I'll be honest. So Sean, I'm interested in your thoughts because there's a big invader from Century Mile coming in, Cuban Castro. I was mentioning this horse to Colin the other day, which was, we talk a lot about looking at horses' workout routines and things like that.
Yeah.
This horse's works pop off the page compared to everybody else's. I mean, much faster in the morning.
Ridiculous.
And it is. And he's come into Assiniboia before and invaded and won last year as a juvenile. I didn't know. Is this where it stopped and started for you, or did you try to get past him in this next race?
Well, okay. I used him. I honestly, I do think he is the horse to beat. I really do. I just think this horse is just his form, everything just to me says they've been, as you said here, been here, done it, know how to get it done on this track. I have no qualms that he will do that. I did use just for stable duel. Anytime Whitehall and Pruitt get together, it's a good combination. And at 1,000, if you're going to use a 950, this is a good spot to maybe see if this 4, exactly who's has been around it in the stakes. I know it is moving up a little bit, but this could be a spot where you take a shot with a $1,000 horse, and see if he can pop them. Obviously Whitehall takes him out in the stakes. He's not coming for peanuts. See if you can just get him somewhere in the middle and hope the favorite goes the distance.
Yeah, no, I know that 4 was very popular in stable duel, and I think is a good stable duel horse. That's kind of a perfect example of a good stable duel horse. So even if you think maybe he might not be able to win, he's run really honest in stakes company before, and he doesn't really run a lot of bad races. And so a horse like that, now third back in the form cycle, you saw progression from first to second time out from a speed figure standpoint, and has run up against these same horses and isn't going to get intimidated. I think that horse certainly makes some sense there for sure. It's a fascinating race because Cuban Cobra is really good and came off the bench with a huge effort, going 6 furlongs at Century Mile in basically a $50,000 stakes race as well, and just blew away the field. And has never finished out of the exact in his career, and it just looks really, really impressive. Those works have been just incredibly impressive. The one thing that is interesting is you have a lot of speed in this race. So the 1 Blazing Bow is going to want to go. Cuban Castro is going to want to be forward. And the number 7 Chicago's Gray, who's got the best speed figures in the field, is going to want to go too. We'll see. I mean, Chicago's Gray won that last one easily and was drawing off going 5. Now we're going 6. And one of the things I'll say is this horse's last race before it came to Assiniboia was at 6 furlongs, and he lost a ton of ground late. And really, that last furlong seemed to be a huge issue for him, going longer than that. So I'm curious whether or not that's gotten fixed. I mean, this was a horse that was up by 7 lengths at 6 furlongs, and ended up losing by a length and a half. So a really fatigued late. And I just wonder if there's going to be a lot of just a lot of pressure on a horse like that to maintain it. And so the horse that I was kind of looking at, and I know somebody brought up in the chat another horse that's very similar. I was looking at the number 6 Saxon Saga a little bit. I thought that's a horse that could come running late if there's too much pace pressure up on the front end. And again, a very honest running horse for Wendy Anderson with Ronaldo Cumberbatch up. I thought he could take advantage if there's a little bit of a pace meltdown, and should like going 6 furlongs, 2 for 3 winning at that distance. And then somebody brought up the number 5, Properly Connected, which is basically the same type of horse as Saxon Saga, maybe a slight cut below from a speed figure standpoint, but pretty similar dynamics in terms of he's going to come running late a little bit. And so, we'll see. It's interesting, Colin, I saw in the chat, somebody asked you what's that horse? I just saw right at the wires question about what is that horse behind you? I read it as, what horse are you behind? And I thought that you were going to talk about the next race. And then I saw your response of Zenyatta, and I was like, Zenyatta is not running in the Golden Boy Stakes. I don't know what Colin's talking about. Then I reread the question. I go, yes, he's talking about the picture behind Colin in this one. So, so I always love Zenyatta. But I know you and I talked about this one earlier. You're single to Cuban Cobra, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Colin?
All for the Cuban Cobra. So I am single to my pick 3, which will actually pay $25 because I put in $1 for it.
Not bad.
Same.
Yeah.
So I think that's right. That's what you had too. So all in on the Cuban Cobra in stable duel. Now the horse that jumped out to me, you talked about when you start continuing to watch the same track over and over, you get familiar with the horses. And Chicago's Gray, will always sort of jump out to me this year, because if you remember, Matt, that first week we started doing these shows.
Impressive. Yeah.
Chicago's Gray was the one we walked away from. That was when there was only running Monday and Tuesdays.
Yeah.
But in those first 2 days, I believe, either the first or second week, it was like, oh, wow, okay, Chicago's Gray, who won by 8 lengths. And then came back in the prime time TV stakes, which is that was when I said to you, well, we need to get a Trust the Profits stakes if they're calling the race the primetime TV stakes. So,
and I told you maybe we can get a maiden claimer named after us instead
of. That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Let's work on that. But so Chicago's Gray, certainly just from name recognition and knowing from watching this track back at the beginning, is a horse that's going to go to the early and it's going to go hard and has been impressive. But as you said, there's a lot of early speed in this race, right? And so I'm going to go back to what you said last night when we did our preview for the Stephen Foster. And we talked about horses that, usually when you see a horse that has a lot of early speed, when you look at their late speed, it drops off for obvious reasons, right? They spend a lot of that energy early and then it drops off. Well, I'm going to give to you, utilizing the Brisnet pace numbers, the early pace. Number 1 is Cuban Cobra and Chicago's Gray. They both have a 98. The late pace, the fastest horse for late pace is also Cuban Cobra. So not only do you have the early speed going to Cuban Cobra, you have the late speed. Now Chicago's Gray is only 2 points behind Cuban Cobra, so it's not as maybe impressive as you'd think. But that stood out to me when I looked across. Sure. And if you use Brisnet on the bottom, they give you that full race preview. Cuban Cobra is on top of every single one except for Backspeed, where he is second to Chicago's Gray. So I'm hoping that Cuban's Cobra, as you talked about, coming in from Century Mile with those blazing workouts, also is going to have a little bit of advantage of the inside, right? So maybe you can get to the front to that turn first. Not crazy. Anybody familiar with? Well, I know Sean's going to be familiar. I'm not, with Dane Nelson.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a jockey who's coming in from Century Mile.
Century Mile. He's a very good jockey out there.
All right, we're good then.
Good. So he's not going to be a stranger. You know.
Yeah.
He is coming in.
And by the way, we got to give a shout out to Carson, who has been dealing with power outages and is still hanging out with us in the stream. So, I mean, he's really a warrior tonight.
Well, we only lost power briefly last night, but a bunch of trees down. The sheriff closed down the roads, and the storm chasers were here. And when they show up, it's sort of like Jim Cantori showing up on the Florida coast. Everybody.
That's like us. That's like us in the winter when Jim Cantori shows up in Boston. We're like, no, we're gonna get 16 inches. No, stay away.
I will add real quick. I will add real quick from a stable duel perspective. I did also use the 3 rough customer.
Interesting.
7 horse field, but I kind of played a little bit of that same angle of a horse coming in from Century Mile. Although it's a 3-year-old and hasn't won, has 2 seconds. And I'm hoping that shipping angle, this horse ran 3 furlongs, 34 seconds, which any horse can do 3 furlongs quickly, but 4 furlongs, 47. I'm hoping that rough customer at 20-1 is kind of that real cheap price horse for inexpensive horse for $250 that will get me, not negative points. We didn't do too well with our inexpensive horse in race 1, but we'll take another shot here in race 3.
We did not, but that's a horse that is getting Lasix for the first time as well. So there's some things going on here. I see, Jeff in the chat. He's on the 2-6 exacta with Cuban Cobra and Saxon Saga. So he's going with some alliteration there in the exacta, and the only 2 in the race to win at 6 furlongs. That's actually an interesting angle. I hadn't noticed that specifically, they were the only 2 who had done that. But for sure. So Carson, did you get past the favorite in this one, or where were you looking in this race?
Yeah, I actually landed on the 6 also here. The Cuban Cobra, just can't get right with 8 or 5. So hold on 1 second.
Yeah.
This is the tornado that lives with me.
Hey, that's all right. Like I said, we've been having the child care stuff all night. That's all good.
And she's been on the cocktail lounge twice, and she's picked 2 winners. So I mean, hey,
2 for 2. Come on.
But I was looking at the company he's run against before. He's beaten some of these guys here and gone. Sorry. Win 1, off 1, win 1, off 1. So we're due for a win again.
Yep.
And also winning at 6 furlongs.
Yep.
She's excited about the 6.
Yeah, she is excited about the 6. I think that's great. We need that sort of excitement around Saxon Saga. So
and to win a place in the 6th. Okay. Got it.
No, exactly.
Got it.
No, you got to get there. So
locked in.
Listen, this will be a fun race. I mean, this will be a big time race for seeing later in the card too, because there's a race later in the card where there's a Century Mile horse coming in, I think in the last race actually, and is the favorite Quinto Soul, if I'm not mistaken, number 2 horse in that race as well. This could just show you, I mean, just as we talked about early in the season, how are Golden Gate shippers doing? How are Woodbine shippers doing? How are, Turf Way Park Paradise shippers doing? Turf Paradise, I should say. How are they doing? Similarly, how's the Century Mile shipper doing? I mean, it really did stand out to me how much faster the works are for the horses at Century Mile than the horses at Assiniboia. And so it's, it's a little bit like apples and oranges when you're looking at that stuff. But yeah.
I'm surprised Carson hasn't just gone to one of her other 25 locations where she streams from yet. If she's having power issues and loud noises, I have a special video coming up. It's going to be the locations of Carson, and then we're going to do a screen grab of all the different spots that she streams from. This is the first time I've seen her in the same spot, because maybe it's because I saw her Saturday. So it's only 2 days. You can't get too far away. But watch out next Monday.
No, we've been working on the house and finally got the library how I want it to be. So we're settled here.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Don't get tired of it. You'll see the pictures go up in a little while, but
fantastic.
That's awesome.
One thing I do not have is a library, considering my 1-year-old sleeping in the laundry room right now. So no library in the Sheehan mansion.
We are. Go ahead, Carson.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say the laundry room is great for the sleeping sound.
That's right.
Yeah.
Put the dryer on, throw some socks in there, and take a nap. There she is.
Hey, there we go.
There she is.
Now we got the superstar hanging out with us. So
say 2. Say number 2.
2-6. She's going 2-6.
Love the alliterations.
So speaking of the odds on this one, it's interesting. The odds on this one have stayed pretty consistent. So the 2 Cuban Cobra, I should say, is your favorite at 6-5. That hasn't really moved much. Chicago's great, 8-5, and Saxon Saga at 5-1. I mean, they've all really kind of stayed at the exact same price. So there hasn't been a lot of movement with those top 3 from a standpoint of the morning line at all. Adjournment, the number 4 is floated up a little bit. The number 3 Rough Customer is taking a little bit of money, down from 20-1 up to down to 15-1. The number 5 has actually floated up quite a bit. Properly Connected was 12-1 morning line, now 25-1. And so that's something to take a look at here. Lisa's giving out another pick 3. She's got 3 race pick 3 here. She's going 2-6, 2-1, 8-3. And I think those are picks I can get behind. So I think I need to check, but I'm pretty sure I can like that. So the 2-6, 2-1. Well, I don't know about 2-1 in the next race actually. And then I say that. And then what was it? 3-8 or 8-3. 8-3. Yeah, I see where you're going in that one. That makes sense. And that 5th race feels pretty wide open. So good luck to that. Barry C is going with a what's he going with? Barry's going with the
1-4-5.
2 over the 1-4-5 in this one. So good luck to you, Barry. Hope you get that one home, and that'll be really great. So Keith is letting us know that he needs the 2 in the pick 3, and Yeah. So so like Colin, I have the 2 and the pick 3 as well, and I did a $1 base, and it was a $12 ticket that I put together, and it'll pay 25. I will say I'm also still alive to the 6 in this race.
Oh, okay.
And the 6 would pay $86. So I am really rooting for the 6 to get over on the early pick 3. But that would be a really nice payout to get that from the pick 3. So so we'll see. But hope everybody, whatever you're alive to, rooting for you to get that done. And so yeah. So Mountain Mike is going with the 7 here. Chicago's Gray to win, 7 over 4 all. So using that adjournment angle that you were talking about, Sean, with the 4, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I respect that.
Yeah. And then we got Rodney giving out the pick 5, because of course this race does start the pick 5. He's going 2, 6, 7, 4, 2, 2, 5, 1, 6, 8, 4, 2, 6. And so, and again, you can play a 20-cent base with this. And I think that's, a lot of fun. You can play a lot bigger tickets when you have that 20-cent base. And, it also can just, honestly, I think is a great way to just help people to learn how to play pick 5 tickets, honestly, when you have that 20-cent base, because you can even build tickets that might be a little bit faulty from a construction standpoint, but it's not going to cost you a ton of money. And even if you're only making, even if you hit it and still, barely turn a profit or something like that, you can learn it where you went right, where you went wrong. And, it'll cost you $8 or something like that, as opposed to some $58, $60 pick 5 ticket. So I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we haven't talked about it, but hopefully we can work together to attack the $50,000 guaranteed pick 4.
Pick 4.
Absolutely.
Guaranteed. Love that.
The last time the 3 of us were together, we went 3 for 4, I believe.
You did.
We relied on your pick, Sean, and it cost us. But we don't keep track.
Oh, no, it's because I left.
It was because Sean left, actually.
He dropped a pick and he left on us.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that was the issue. He left.
You were live when I left.
The problem started once Sean left. Everything went to hell. But right at the wire, Alex is going win place on the 3 here in this race, and certainly, hey, good luck if you can get that home at 17-1 right now.
You said if the 3 go out all ding dong, one of these long shots could pick them right up. Yeah,
absolutely. So,
and I got that 3 unstable, so I'll take that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, listen, Basil, I hear you on this one, in that, it's very possible the 7 decides to stalk, especially breaking from the far outside, and lets the 1 and 2 just shoot out and wear each other out up front. Yeah. The only concern is I've not really seen the 7 show that patience before in a race, and when it doesn't get the lead, I just don't know if this horse likes to stalk, honestly, or if this horse needs to be up there on the front end. So
when it doesn't get the lead, it loses by 54 lengths.
Well, there is that race, but I mean, that was on the mile on the 16th at Oak Lawn. And
all right. Sorry, 27 lengths. 27 lengths.
Yeah, that's
or
true.
Maybe the race before that where he didn't even finish.
Right, there was that race too where he just lost.
Where are we going?
So he might have finished. He just lost the rider. That's all.
Right.
So yeah, it's
but
like how great
strong. Finish strong. Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's like how great is Nate in at the Gotham? He finished the race. He just did it without the rider on his back. That's all.
He won the race. He won the race.
He did win the race. then he came back to win a stakes race at Monmouth a couple of races ago. So yeah, absolutely. But no, we'll have to see here as they're getting them ready to
look at the pick 5 pool. Nice pool.
Yeah, look at that pick 5 pool. You're right, $240,000 and growing for the pick 5 there at Assiniboia.
That's
huge. Might need to put in a pick 5 ticket real fast.
Yeah, seriously,
at this rate. I wasn't going to. All right.
Exactly.
All right. I might put in a 20-cent base pick 5. Mess around here and see what we can do.
By the way, is this kind of am I analyzing this too much? Is the outside suddenly the place to be now versus the inside? The
interesting
that the outside's been kind of the stronger last week and a half rather than the inside,
Yeah. It does seem like that. We've seen that the first couple of races now. So yeah.
the meet so far, Sean, to the stats back up that theory with 17 races going at 6 furlongs.
Yeah.
You've had 29% hit from outside the 8 and 16% hit from between 4 and 7. So actually, from a statistical standpoint, that is correct.
Yeah. But even the one last race, he was like 5 wide and just circled everybody, where Whitehall had the 2, tried to go up his rail and just couldn't get anywhere, you know?
All right. Yep. Here we go. We got they're loaded in, and we'll turn things over to Kurt here in the Golden Boy Stakes, $50,000, 6 furlongs for 3-year-olds.
To the outside.
Good luck to everyone.
Blazing Bow a little fractious. They're at the post. And they're off in the Golden Boy Stakes. Jumping at the start was Blazing Bow. To the far outside, Chicago's Gray was out well. Cuban Cobra. Not trying to match it on the inside. Adjournment settled back in third. Saxon Saga fourth on the outside. Properly connected in fifth. A gap of 3 more back to Rough Customer. After the poor beginning, Blazing Bow is the early trailer. The opening quarter, 23 seconds. And Chicago's Gray has the lead by 2. Saxon Saga and Cuban Cobra. Those 2 battling it out, trying to gain ground through a quick half in 45-2. They hit the head of the lane, and Chicago's Gray now opens up on the field and is cruising up by 4 with a 16th of a mile to go. This is all Chicago Gray. Gonna win the Golden Boy. Saxon Saga in second. Cuban Cobra in third, and fourth goes to Rough Customer.
Wow.
There you go. Chicago's Gray just made it look easy there. And just got to the lead and drew off, and no problems doing 6 furlongs at all today. So just like I said, made that one look easy. And the whole race changed, in my opinion, when that one hopped at the gate.
Yes.
When Blazing Bow didn't get out, then the whole dynamics changed, because suddenly you didn't get nearly the pace pressure, and Chicago's Gray was able to get up there and not be contested really on the front end at all. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So there you go. Well, now 3 for 3 at Assiniboia Downs. Super impressive.
Wow. Talking about a horse who loves that track. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we didn't talk Basil off of the 7.
Yeah. So listen, yeah, exactly. Colin put the hat on a little too early, and got a little too cocky. Oh, we were 2 for 2. We're gonna put the hat on, and
he and Taylor Hall are out of here.
Yeah, no, exactly. Now we're ice cold again. So now we ran 2-3 instead of 1-2. So all right,
I blame Sean's insight on that jockey.
So, listen, it is Chicago's Gray.
Have you tweeted Dane Nelson happy birthday, Sean?
Huh?
Is Dane Nelson on the happy birthday tweet list?
No, he's not. No. He's off the Christmas card list too.
Okay.
Yeah, he's off. So, no, so there you go. Well, listen, Chicago's Great now makes it 3 for 3 at Assiniboia Downs, stretches out successfully. Just looked so impressive doing it. And again, didn't really face any pace pressure. And that's kind of an ongoing trend that we've seen, which is he doesn't really get pressured at Assiniboia. I mean, the horse has been within a length of him, but really never more than that. Nobody's been kind of up with him, and breaking from that outside was able to get the job done for Murray Duncan. And Jorge Carreno picks up another win. That's a jockey that we talked about getting a little bit hot as the meet's going on. And, we see him, Saxon Saga finishes second now, second time in a row in a stakes race, finishes second to Chicago's Gray. So,
and I think, I can't think of anybody that's had a better start to the meet than Chicago's Gray at this point, right? I mean, this is probably the on top horse for Assiniboia Downs so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all due respect to Mia Bear, Matt.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. No, I think Chicago's Gray is had a great start to the meet and is one of those examples of these shippers, started the career at Churchill Downs in Oaklawn, and obviously is making a pretty significant transition. Was in the Steve Asmussen barn, and then went to Lisa Pruitt, and now is with Murray Duncan. But this is a horse that is doing really well and doing great stuff up there, and amazingly paid $620 to win. Saxon Saga pays $360 to place, and Cuban Cobra pays $210 to show. The $1 exacta pays $1040. The $1 try pays $1850 at 15. The $1 super pays $69.85, and the pick 3 pays out $42.50. So there you go for race number 3 on the card, the stakes race. Wow. And
we'll take that fourth place for Rough Customer. That's not bad for Stable Duel.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that's good. So there you go. Definitely nice. And so now we move on. And Colin, you alluded to it, but we now get to the $50,000 guaranteed pick 4 coming up here in race number 4. So we gotta. Yeah. I feel like we gotta dive right into this because we always wait and we fart around. I know.
We're like, oh, what's our pick 4? And then I know. We gotta figure this out. So Carson, I'll start with you. Kind of where are you looking in this race, and is there a horse in this pick 4 sequence that you really, really like, and not just in this next race, maybe, but even beyond?
Yeah, I was on the 4 for race 4. I was on the 4. Started out 6-1 morning line, and then just when I checked, it was like 7-5. Now it looks like the 2's taking some more money. I did like the 1 here, but sort of rethinking my strategy as the outside post seems to be getting a piece of everything, and we're going a mile in the last race. So, in the series here, I really like the 8 in race 5, Sky Tizzy, with Neville Stevenson and Jerry Gourneau. Hasn't run well recently, but outside post and has run here before. And I think I just liked the placement here really more than
you're getting the class drop too. Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that I could find anything formful, but with the drop and with the trainer jockey combo, I just like the combo and the situation and the setup.
Who was the first one you said, Carson? Before the 8 in race 5?
I was so for race 4, the 4 is who I was leaning towards, and then just looking at the series for the pick 4 in race 5. I was really looking at the 8 for some value, outside post, drop in class for placement of this race, and jockey trainer combo.
Cool. I'm going to keep track so we can put this together.
Yeah.
So I also like the 4 in the next race quite a bit, and that was my top pick. Or it wasn't actually my top pick. My top pick was the 6 who scratched in this race, and I really like that 6 a lot. But anyway, the 4 is a horse I like a lot in this next race. I could see the argument for the 1 and 2 as well, but the 4 is kind of my top pick. In race 5, I kind of like the 2 and the 5 and the 8. Those would be kind of my top 3. In race 6, I like the 8 and 6 a little bit there. Milan, Ohio is my top pick, and then All Terrain Jane is a little bit of a value underneath play. Race 7, in that last one, I like the 2 quite a bit there, and a little bit of the 6 as well. So that's those are kind of some of my picks. Sean, where are you looking in this upcoming sequence?
Well, I did like in the race. That's so funny that this is what I love about handicapping. I did like Explosive in race 7, and not just because it's Antonio Whitehall.
Oh yeah,
I actually have this horse that beat him. I actually do think this horse was it Magic Tiger? Is that what his name was?
Yeah, Magic Tiger. Yeah.
I think Magic Tiger is going to be a pretty good horse on this circuit.
I agree.
And he beat him, and then he came back and won. I think this horse could be a legitimate horse on the circuit, especially with the 8 furlongs. I think that's screaming for him in the 6th race. Obviously, the 1's an interesting play. I thought for a price just to go, I think Big Energy's got a very big chance there for Gittins and Cumberbatch. But I thought Jackie's Thunder at a price there on the 5 could be an interesting get up and kind of take a bomb. Obviously Carreno's riding very well right now. I thought he was kind of a bomb play for me. And then in the 5th race, this was an interesting. This is the race that kind of made me like say, am I playing a $5 team or a $20 team? I love the beginning, and then I got to the end. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I had like 9 combinations. Like, I'm not feeling confident.
Yeah.
Always a little 1. I think should be very tough here. I think obviously Sven Ballrope's been riding well with the 2. And I could just use like 4 horses in this 5th race. So I got kind of confused. I went with always a little 1 and just for Charlotte, but you could use almost any horse in this race 5.
Yeah.
How about race 4, Sean?
Race 4? Yeah. What do you call it? Yeah. I do. It's interesting that people are going with get up early on the even money. There's no Whitehall in here, so I don't know what to do. But no, only kidding. But no, I think the two looks lively, and I it was ironic they had 2-4. They're 2 even money and 2-1 right now. So
yeah,
obviously the public is kind of seeing it the same way I did. With a long shot pick would maybe be Jambi, the 5, trying to get up for the 3rd there with you've turned me on to Jerry Gurneau. That guy's starting to
he's heating up. Yeah,
he's starting to heat up. So you have to always use him in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it tough?
Yeah, it is. No, it's a tough sequence because there's not an obvious single. And when you're playing a pick 4, I'm not that headstrong on using singles necessarily.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's a $1 base ticket. And yeah, I mean, I think you can go 2 and a few of them. And I will say, and Colin, I think I see you already start this comment, but Joe Palmentary, perhaps the comment of the night, because he was aware of what was going on with Colin and I's discussion earlier today of where does the Midwest actually start. And so he made a joke that the Midwest begins with Milan, Ohio, the number 8 horse in race number 6. This all goes back to the fact that Colin and I made a reference to something about Kentucky being in the Midwest, and Colin was like, is Kentucky really the Midwest? I was like, well, Kentucky's this weird spot. Like it's not really the South.
Matt says, this is how it goes. Matt goes, we got to have someone cover the Midwest tracks during the summer. And I was like, well, I'll do Saratoga. And Matt said he'll do Del Mar. And I said, and I'm thinking in my head, I go, I try not to sound stupid when I'm doing this stuff, but I said, Matt, hold on. What's the Midwest track? And he goes, Ellis Park, Churchill. And I'm like, that's the Midwest? And he immediately was like, listen, I agree with you that people that say Ohio is the start of the Midwest. And we had this great conversation last night, which we both ended up on the same page. But I just tweeted out the geographical center of the United States. So for anybody that says Ohio is the start of the Midwest, which is 600 miles.
A lot of people said that too.
I did work today. I did work on this today. I said, how can Columbus, Ohio, which is 500 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, and I think 2,500 miles from the Pacific Ocean, be the start of the Midwest, which mid is middle and west is west of the middle.
Yes, west is indeed west of the middle. Yes,
maybe I'm missing something here, but it got a lot of traction today, and I thought that we starred what I think will be the comment of the night. They just announced the fan of the night at Assiniboia Downs, which was Emma. So I think the chat comment of the night will definitely be that.
That's awesome.
Now, Carson, you live in Kentucky, so. What is your thought? But I know you grew up in the Carolinas, and
it's
you have
Midwestern on the show.
So it's Kentucky, and Kentucky is a weird state because it's at the South, is it the Midwest? What is Kentucky, and where do you think the Midwest starts?
I think it depends on where you are in Kentucky, and the maps probably just need to be redrawn because, I do say y'all and have an accent with certain things, and depending on how much moonshine I'm into. The Southern accent comes out, but I'm pretty neutral as far as phonetics, I guess, or how I pronounce things. Yeah. But I grew up in the South, and this is not the South. This is a very Midwest feel. And I always thought Midwest was your midway to the West.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
What are we defining? So, but you get down into the mountains here. So we're right at the foothills. So if you get further south into Tennessee and you go into the mountains, and people speak cornbread is what they call it. So.
Oh, I love it.
South. You have the Renfro Valley. I think there is very much the South.
Yeah. What is it? Tennessee's bordered by 9 states. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah. I had to tease one guy who tweeted me a picture that said, where the different country parts of the country were, and it said Midwest started in Ohio, and it had Delaware listed as Southwest. And I said, you immediately Southeast. I said, you immediately lose all credibility by putting up a map that says Delaware is in the Southeast. Now, to his credit, he says, I think someone just didn't put the middle Atlantic because that was clearly missing off of this map. But it was funny. We had some laughs about that today.
Uncle Sully is truly in the Midwest. Uncle Sully checking in from Kansas. That's the Midwest, my friend.
There you go.
I hear you. Yeah, Uncle Sully is in the Midwest. So
if you're in the Big 8, then you're the Midwest. Exactly.
No, you got. I think Greg brings up a good point, which is time zones. Because you don't even have like the central time zone. Ohio is still in the Eastern time zone, and so awesome. So I see that. By the way, we're losing viewers as we get into this discussion, but this is important. Gosh darn it! I don't care if you're not tuning in. Like, this is what people need to be listening to and talking about.
They want about politics. My goodness, the time zone. Now, let me tell you, when Breeders' Cup rolls around, the sun does not come up until like 9 o'clock in the morning. It is dark. So
I'm
not aware of the time zone it's in. So we're at the very back end of the Eastern time zone, and it is just.
Now, Cyrus brings up an interesting point, which is cultural geography, and the idea that the life in rural Ohio for sure is very similar. But I could say life in rural New York is very similar to life in rural Nebraska as well. Life in rural Pennsylvania is very similar to that. So the cultural geography. I hear your point. It gets a little messy. I also, the other thing that Colin and I talked about, which is like, if you're in a state that borders an East Coast state, like you can't be in the Midwest. Like if Ohio borders Pennsylvania and you're like, Pennsylvania is an East Coast state, like you can't just go one state over and be like, well, I'm in the Midwest now. Like, no, you can't. Like, that's not the way geography works.
You're in the Middle East.
You're in the Middle East. Exactly.
Thanks for completely derailing this show and my pick.
By the way, huge shout out to the Foghorn.
Huge shout out. Huge shout out to Shotting the Foghorn. But Colin, we all gave you our thoughts on this, so I thought you were kind of tallying things up and writing things down. So where are we on the pick 4?
We're suddenly 1 minute to race 4 because of that conversation, which we could have.
I almost missed submitting. Jeez.
So it's interesting. Race 4, the upcoming race. You guys all liked the 4. I was actually on the 1, and I'm curious, just basically based off of back class and the races this horse had been running in last year, the speed figures were all very much in line, and I saw some early speed, hopefully, out of this one. Mm-hmm. But the 4 was the consensus pick for you all. The 8 is definitely the consensus pick of the next race, aside from Sean, who liked the 5 and the 7. It looks like race 6. Me and Matt both liked the 8, and then race 7 we were all over the place. So I think race 7, if we're going by our strong opinions, would be the one that maybe we spread out, and then it's a matter of, are we comfortable with the 8 in the next leg if we are trying to find a signal?
Was Sky Tizzy?
No, Milan, middle of Ohio. Middle of Ohio.
In race 6. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You're right. I was right. Yes, Sky Tizzy was the one that we were pretty adamant on, but I also liked the 7 in that leg quite a bit.
Okay.
Which is always the little one who is Matt. It was who Sean liked as well.
Yeah.
So I guess that. So let's go back to how are we feeling with Milan in Ohio?
I mean, I like that horse a lot, but that's just me. But
that horse definitely has a big chance. Yeah. Yep.
Well, is the horse Southern or Midwestern?
I think it would be only appropriate for Milan, Ohio to win tonight, actually, given our
You're right.
conversation.
Single.
All right, there you go. So, I love it.
Okay.
So we're going. Sean, you had 2, 4, 5 in this first leg. Is there 2 that you were more confident in? 2 of those horses?
Yeah, I think it's
2 or 5.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, 2 or I'd be more confident than 2 of it, honestly. But
All right, then we're gonna go. Matt, you start typing up the tickets. Is that a deal?
All right, yeah.
1, 2, 4 in leg 1.
Okay.
Then we got Carson liked the 8, so we all like the 8. So we'll go 5, 7, 8 in leg 2.
All right.
Then we are all in on the Midwestern state of Ohio with the 8.
I love it.
And then Carson, you didn't give me a race. Do you have a race 7 opinion?
Yeah. I wanted the 3 here. Super long shot with Cumberbatch.
Love it.
Monster.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I don't know how much that's going to cost. Let's see. That's 3 by 3
9
by 5.
Was that 40? 45?
No, I got 45. So half of that, right? So $22.
No, it is $1 pick 5, so it's going to be $45.
No, you're right. That too steep, or we like that?
Hell with it. We only live once. All right. So we're going $45 pick 4 here. I just dropped it in the chat. And we're going.
I think you can pay too.
1, 2. Yeah, I think it will get a pay. 1, 2, 4 over 5, 7, 8 over 8 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So that is how we kind of see this one playing out. And there you go.
I'm playing it. So let me get it in.
There you go. All right, get it in there. I'm playing it as well. So I'm not.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
No, so we're doing this. So there's that, and there is boom and boom and
boom.
Okay. Boom.
All right, I'm in.
Janet just brought up a great point. My friend used to live in Ohio but work in Indiana, but they used to be an hour apart, even though his commute was 10 minutes. So he had to wake up at like a weird hour just to go to work 10 minutes down the road because the time was different, and he always either be home for his kids late or early.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really funny. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, because you're switching time zones all the time. Absolutely. So we got. By the way, we got other people sharing their tickets. While we were debating all of this, so we certainly don't mean to be ignoring other people, but so we got Based Outdoors is going 2-3 over 2-8 over 1-8 over 2. It's a nice skinny little pick 4 that he put together there. Nothing wrong with that at all. And right at the wire, Alex also putting out a nice, pretty skinny pick 4 going 1-4-5 over the 5-7 over the 8 over the 2-4 as well in his ticket. So that's a good one as well. David Barista saying the 5 could be a little dangerous here in this upcoming race. 13-1. That's one that Sean I know liked a little bit as well. So definitely see that. So let us know where you're looking. I see Bobby D's going with a 2-4 over 1-3 exacta in this race. So going with the 2 favorites and trying to catch a little bit of a, maybe price with the 3 there underneath. And so, good luck with everybody playing. Charles, appreciate good luck with the 8 getting singled. Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a night when Milan, Ohio is going to just romp, it is tonight. Tonight's the night.
The stars are aligned.
Yeah. Exactly. So Marv, not Marvin Buffalo, but Marv Beatty is playing 2-4-5 over 5-7-8 over 4 over 7. So that's a nice little just $9 ticket.
That could be his code name, though. You never know. That could be his code name. He's watching underneath this Marv Beatty.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll say, if anybody hasn't had a chance, the Winnipeg News had a really nice article on the 3 native indigenous trainers,
Wow.
Tom Gardapi Jr., Jerry Gorno, and Marvin Buffalo. As
very cool.
Indigenous Peoples Week was, I think, last Wednesday, and
Yeah.
they did a nice little story in the Friday Winnipeg paper. So I read that story today. That was really nice.
That's great. Yeah, that's great.
That was a lot of fun. And hey, we got. I see it here. I think there it is. We got the official Foghorns ticket.
Oh, Foghorns ticket.
Foghorns Bar in Arkansas is playing 245 over 257 over 8 over 26. Love it, Shotty. Let's get this one home. Unfortunately, my Florida Gators did not get home today in the College World Series, as LSU is going to win. And that's a devastating blow, but that's all right. At least they made it there. That's the most important thing. So, yeah. So
Foghorns in the Midwest.
Arkansas's in the South. Come on, it's in the SEC.
By the way, Shotty must get a request up to Assiniboia Downs. She can't play off on her 6'9", you know?
Okay.
She always plays the numbers. You know?
It's true. She does. All right. So we'll kick things over here to Kurt to kick off the late pick 4.
They're all set. They're at the post.
Ooh,
That's Pioneer Town, little fractious.
Ooh.
And they're off. Breaking slow was Get Up Early. But it's Mia's Majesty now showing some early speed and pressed right out to the engine. Livery Man now moves up on the outside to engage Mia's Majesty. Settled back 3 lengths. That's going to be Freud's Vision. And then Pioneer Town, Get Up Early, starting to get into it after the poor beginning. And the trailer is going to be Jambi. The opening quarter, 22-4. And it's Mia's Majesty still with the lead now by 3/4 of a length. Pressuring from the outside.
Good Lord, how wide are they going to go?
They hit the head of the lane. Mia's Majesty now just pouring it on. Is opening up 5-6 as they're coming to the 16th pole. This is all Mia's Majesty. The battle is on for second as Jambi has a good late rally. Third is going to be Pioneer Town, and fourth, the Livery Man.
There you go. All right, we'll run it back into pick 3. See what we can do. Because
Strong boy Bino.
Bino getting the job done. And getting it home. And this is a horse that took a big step forward, second back from the layoff, and had run some nice races at Fort Erie, obviously, and winning their gate to wire fashion, and a maiden claimer 4,000, and so this was a little bit of a new shooter onto the scene, and looked really good last time out, and. I will say came out of a good race in terms of Drop a Caribou, came back to win next time out. We talked about My Boy Christian earlier as a horse we kind of liked, who ran pretty well earlier tonight. So obviously took a step forward. And something to note with this one, and probably something we should have noted rather than debating about where Ohio is. But I will say this horse turned in a 48-1 bullet 4 furlong work on June 21st. You don't see many works like that at Assiniboia Downs. And, so certainly this horse was, and I like when you see horses get work in between races at Assiniboia, because a lot of times, especially younger horses, just helps them continue to build that foundation. So Mia's Majesty gets the job done there in race number 4. And Jambi, who you talked about a little bit there, Sean, gets up for second. Pioneer Town, the favorite, gets second, third, and Livery Man gets fourth. But the horse we liked, that I liked a little bit, Get Up Early, and I know, Carson, you like this one too. Second race in a row where a horse that just didn't get a start at all. Blazing Bow didn't get a start at all in race number 3, and you see it again with Get Up Early, just broke incredibly slow. Race was over as soon as the doors opened up. So
he was running in the central time zone, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry,
it was a little rough there. So One of those things. So yeah, the three just poured it on late, and it's interesting. Those last two races we've seen early speed just continue to pull away. Early couple races we saw horses coming from off the pace be able to. Now it should be noted that second race, when the horse came off the pace, was going 2 turns, but the first race, the horse that was on the lead wired the field. So we've seen 3 gate to wire races and 1 coming from off the pace here today at Assiniboia through 4. So something just to keep in mind as we continue to take a look at this. Have
we ever seen a 5-2 favorite win with only 3% of stable duel?
Don't you know it? That is rare.
Wow,
that is rare. Yeah,
60% had the 4.
Yep.
That's
wow. No, absolutely. Surprising. Yeah, surprising to see that. So
good job, Jambi.
Jambi did a nice job getting up there for second, and Mia's Majesty gets the job done, and Tim Hughes giving out his pick 4 after, of course, the race is over. And so
I'm finding the people that gave the 3. Uncle Sully there singled the 3.
Nice work, Uncle Sully. Uncle Sully, a true Midwesterner in Kansas, giving out that 3. So
that's true. Chalk Jayhawk.
Yeah, exactly. So Mia's Majesty pays $740 to win. Jambi plays $780 to place, and Pioneer Town pays $230 to show. The $1 exacta pays $28.40. The $1 try pays $70.15. The $1 super pays $155.33. The $1 pick 3 pays $46.70. So there you go for race number 4. And we're already moving on to race number 5. And, we started off pretty hot. And no, Tim, I was just giving you a hard time. I didn't even know if it was. I see Tim's comment. I was just joking around. I didn't know if you were giving it out early. Colin found the comment earlier. And so, no, I was just joking. But the, we, Based Outdoors still alive in the pick 4. Fantastic. We'd love to see that. Stay alive. That's the whole idea. So we started off with some winners, and these last 2 legs we've not done so well. So we're kind of 2 for 4. I kind of blame Colin putting a hat on, thinking that we were just going to start sweeping the night, and that's kind of gone downhill. So we'll have to see how things kind of shake out here the rest of the night as we got 3 races to go on the card. So we talked about it a little bit already in terms of when we put together this pick. But Sean, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Looking ahead to this race number 5, you're going 6 furlongs on the dirt. And where are you going in this race?
I went with a little bit of a long shot here. As again with the 5 Just for Charlotte. I just thought and it's 4-1 now. Austin Neroni just seems to fit this horse well. I mean, with 29 of 61 in the money for Jennifer Jordan. So this combo clearly seems to work well together. And I just thought if the pace kind of set up the right way, I mean, I did like always the little 1. I mean, anytime Pruitt and Carrero and Sky Tizzy definitely has a huge chance outside. But I just thought for value, I like Just for Charlotte. I thought it could be in a kind of stocking spot and kind of try to take off at home. And then the public's at 4-1 right now.
There you go. I also like Just for Charlotte quite a bit in the spot. And I was actually really surprised by the morning line at 8-1, considering that she beat the number 2 horse, Living Sky, last time out. And Living Sky was 3-1 on the morning line. So I was a little surprised by that. Granted, she closed like heck on a closing favoring track, but I like the stretch out to 6 furlongs. I think it'll serve her a little bit better. But she's, we'll see. This might be a good indication of how the track plays in terms of how she ends up running in terms of coming from off the pace. Carson, where did you go? I know you really liked the number 8 horse, if I'm not mistaken, in this one, right? Sky Tizzy.
Yeah, I just like the class drop here and the placement with the jockey trainer combo. Not specifically a form full pick here. The 7 seem to have the early speed. Lisa and Jorge Carino here on Always the Little One. And the outside post looks to be tough.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Colin, you were very studiously taking all of our notes when we were talking about this sequence. So where are you looking in this pick sequence?
I had always the little one as my top pick, the number 7. Similar to what Carson said, this horse, to me, from what I saw in the 5.5 furlongs races, had shown the most early speed in the race. And obviously, early speed has been where you have wanted to be, at least in the last 2 races. You can question, maiden claimers stepping up to winners for the first time. But if you go back to the first 2 races last year in September, this horse, although didn't break the maiden, only lost by 3/4 of a length in the neck. So I kind of upgrade the fact that you're going from maiden claiming up to winners for the first time, just based on the fact that, hey, one stride the other way, and this horse has got the victory last year and is coming in different company this year. So I had the 7 on top, and then I did like the 8 as well. His trainer, who we've talked about, Gordeau. This horse comes back after only 5 days. This horse just ran on June 21st. Yeah. Gordeau is hitting at 27% out of 15 races on a horse coming back in 1 to 5 days. So I highlighted that, and then I also highlighted the fact that the horse has taken a pretty big class drop from an optional claimer 10,000 down to a claiming 5,000 for non-winners of 2. The caution and the hesitation is that in 9 lifetime races, it does have that 1 victory, but has not really been close in the other ones. So, that's certainly some cause for hesitation there.
I see a lot of comments here. Some people, David Barista mentioned that the Miami Souvenirs is a little bit interesting. I see Tim Hughes talking about his.
Miami Souvenirs is like how you feel with Carolina Gent. That was a horse that I had been playing. I remember this race when Diane's Wish won. She was the number 10 that day. I think that was the last race on that card. And I remember going into that race saying, there's so much pace here, and Miami Souvenirs is going to set up nicely at a nice, 8-1, 10-1 price. It was in my stable duel. I was in the business, and I just needed this horse to run well, and it didn't run at all. So then comes back, and we're like, okay, it's second off the layoff. We're getting a little bit more distance. It's going to close well late, and finished 5th place. So Miami Souvenirs, to me, I've jumped off the boat one stop earlier than you did with Carolina Gent. So put him in the winner's circle now.
Well, I will say he is not to get too far ahead of myself, but he is Kurt's top pick in this race, and is currently getting hammered at the
7 just scratched
polls. The 7 just scratched. Always the little one.
Always the little one is scratched.
Okay,
ooh,
there you go.
Scratch, yeah.
That's a big scratch. So, so Miami Souvenir is now down to 9-2 from 20-1. So,
guys, I'll be right back, my friends.
All right, very good, Sean. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Do we get our money back on the ticket for the tickets that we had the 7 involved in?
No, we don't get them. No, we don't.
No, it looks like we're going to get the 2.
But so now I'm going to change my run it back. I posted my run it back pick 3, but now that the 7's crashed, I'm going to change my run it back pick 3, and I'm going to throw in, just because it's going to stay the same price, but I'm just going to throw in the 1 as well, just to be on the safe side. So we'll do that, and then there we'll go boom and boom. And then there, I really don't like the favorite in race 6 at all, that inside horse. And then we'll go boom and boom. And we still got a $16 bailout pick 3. So let's run it back. And the pick 3 here, as we're already out of the pick 4 in the first leg, one of those things. But $1 pick 3. And we are going to go with we're on 1, 2, 5, 8 over the 4, 8 over the 2, 4. So there you go. I think that's how we're going to play that one in terms of the pick 3. That's a $16 ticket on a $1 base. So nothing too crazy, nothing too expensive. So that is a big scratch though. The 7. That's interesting. Must be.
Hope he's okay. He says flipped in the paddock.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jeez. Yeah, I hope he is okay then. And it's good to see. I mean, it's good to see the other horses look pretty calm too, because sometimes once one horse starts acting up like that, it can, trigger a little bit of a chain reaction sometimes. So, wow, that's too bad for the 7. And yeah, certainly hoping that the 7 is doing okay, that she's all right. So, always the little one.
9-2 on Miami Souvenirs to me is like, wow.
Yeah. It's they knew. It's honestly, it's probably Tim just dumping his money into Assiniboia tonight, just moving the odds. Tim, putting all that stable duel winnings into Miami Souvenirs there on the track. So, yeah, it's but once now that you have that one scratch, now you're looking, and this is suddenly what a 6-horse field, and so. Prices start to get a little wonky when that happens. And I think this feels like a very wide open race. So, money's going to get spread around pretty evenly. But let's do a quick stable duel check-in and see if any of us are doing anything. I'm 18th and 1, which isn't terrible.
Is that the $5 game or the $20?
In the $25 game and the $25 game. And so I'm just getting crushed here lately with adjournment and get up early. The last 2 races just absolutely giving me nothing. But let's see in the $25 game. Let's see if we have any familiar faces up on the front end. We got Uncle Sully. Uncle Sully's doing okay up there on the front end. So that's good to see. And then in the $5 game, we got let's see. Got some familiar faces. Basil Faulty, number 1, SPN, number 2. So we're doing real well in the $5 game, representing well here on the chat. So that's great to see. And got some people really playing well there. Like I said, Basil and SPN Nation both just crushing there. So yeah. Basil, I hear you on the one, and this is the logic of stretching this horse out. I agree with you that this horse theoretically should like more distance. In the way that we saw this horse finish last time out, you would assume, he was making up a lot of ground late. It's a smaller field, not as much to do. I don't love the inside rail breaking in these sprints. You saw Blazing Bow have trouble getting out of the gate from the inside post 2 races ago. I also kind of wonder how this track is playing right now in terms of the sprints in particular, because the favorites, the speed is just drawing off at this point, and nobody's making up any ground on the front end speed. So it'll be interesting to see how closers run in this one. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we get closer. But
it's important, as I'm glad I just checked, because anybody that had that 7 in their stable duel, you want to go in and hit the edit button so that you can
of course
swap out who you had, which I had the 7. So now that means I had $8,000 in my stable left to spend, and I ended up using the 2 here, Living Sky. Just based on the options that I had. That's where I'm going.
There you go. And shout out to our own Jessica Tugwell, who's hanging out tonight with us in the chat. Appreciate Jess coming by, hanging out. And always appreciate all of her great stuff that she's doing here in Trust the Profits. If you guys haven't been watching her videos on the pedigree puzzle, you're really missing out. It's a great show, and there's so much insight that she provides. So just absolutely awesome. So make sure to check that out. But yeah, listen, there's a lot of love for Miami Souvenirs in the chat, and we'll see if, like I said, theoretically this horse should like the stretch out. Is 3 for 4 in the money with a win at this distance, and considering you're looking at non-winners of 2 lifetime, this horse's only win was at the distance, and so we'll see if this one can get the job done here. And it's fascinating when you take a look at the board, and we'll pull up the stream here so people can start watching. The Miami Souvenir currently 7-1. Living Sky, who was my top choice, is currently at 2-1. This is a horse that just had an interesting race last time out. Was kind of up on the lead, close to it. It was on a closing favoring track and just kind of missed out on the bob. Essentially, it was a three-way photo between Lady Creative and Just for Charlotte and Living Sky, and just really close there. So it'll be interesting. Third back on the form cycle if this horse can take a step forward. You see Fingertip at 10-1 right now. That's a horse that, Colin, you talked about a little bit, who I was also interested in a little bit. It does have a good race in his back pocket, and could be the speed in here. So I think a horse that's certainly dangerous, given the way we've seen the track playing. And Pino, yeah, exactly, getting those big prices home. And then we see the number 4, Victoriaville, is at 11-1 right now. This is one who I kind of liked a little bit last time out, and you saw this horse that did close effectively a little bit, hung around the pace, and then finished a length and a half off and was just behind Just for Charlotte and Living Sky. So take a step forward at 6 furlongs wouldn't be shocking, and that's where this horse's one victory came from. Then Just for Charlotte, we've made mention of a couple of times as well. The number 5 in this spot, certainly a nice horse for Jennifer Jordan, who we should mention is 0 for 18 so far at the Assiniboia Downs meet. And Austin is actually 0 for 15. So these are connections that need to get off the schneid here in this race. And then now with the scratch of Always the Little One, it's Sky Tizzy in that number 8 position for Jerry Gorno with Neville Stevenson aboard. This one is doing a pretty big class drop and coming back on a 5 days rest, which you don't see very often. But it's coming back on 5 days rest. But as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the show, Jerry Gorno, 18% winning, bringing horses back on 5 days rest. And here's a shocker, 73% in the money off of 5 days rest. And it is a decent sample size too. It is not like 8 horses or something like that. Like it's like 38 horses over the last 5 years. So this is a move he does regularly and does with success. So, definitely want to keep an eye on there on the outside. And that is now your current favorite at 8-5 for Sky Tizzy. So, the 8, 2, and 5 are the ones taking the money right now. And, the 1 is starting to float up a little bit more, Colin, to the level that you would appreciate at least, or that you would think is more appropriate, I suppose, with the 1.
Yeah, a little bit more honest, as they say.
Yes, I agree. So listen, we got a little bit more time left here before this. I see, some people are talking about Ascot in the chat, Royal Ascot. We obviously had a huge, turnout for the weekend stream. Appreciate everybody tuning in for that over the weekend. And Carson, I appreciate you hanging out with me for 4+ hours. That was a lot of fun. What was your biggest, just out of curiosity, what was your biggest takeaway from Royal Ascot over the last week in terms of either a horse, a trainer, a jockey, a trend, or just, what was your biggest moment or takeaway?
Oh gosh, I just think Frankie solidifying his legacy there, and then Ryan Moore continuing on, and I think he's going to carry the torch. I mean, what did he have, 6 wins or something?
Yeah,
just phenomenal. Yeah. And then his statements about Frankie after he won Rider of the Meet, was very classy gentleman. And pleased to be able to watch them.
Yep, absolutely. And shout out to Rogue Millennium, because I've made a lot of money on that horse, so that was great. And King of Steel, who I am still convinced is somehow related to Rock Hard 10, because those two are the biggest freaking horses I've ever seen in my life. I actually did do like a pedigree dive. I'm like, are these two related somehow? Because like they're huge. And so when you see King of Steel just like run by the other horses, you're like, well, this isn't fair. Like this is like watching it's like watching some senior in high school like beat up on the junior varsity team or something like that. It's like, good Lord.
Well, you know how Rock Hard 10 got his name, right?
No, how?
Because he has a Rock Hard 10. He's
I love it. I love it. A
huge unit. So
yeah, that's fantastic. All the more reason to Rock Hard. I just remember watching that horse getting loaded into, was it the Preakness starting gate or the Derby starting gate? I forget which one. And just being like, this horse is like, it's like another creature, like running against some of these other horses. Like, it's just so much bigger. So, so that's very, very cool. And I don't know if any of you had a chance to listen. I read the comments in a very nice article of interviewing John Gosden about Frankie Dettori, and they've had, obviously a very long and some would say tumultuous, but others would say very beneficial relationship over the years. And much like you said with Ryan Moore, very classy comments from John Gosden about Frankie and his legacy and all he's accomplished, and his ups and downs as well in all of this. And I've also decided that if I come back in another life, I want to come back as like John Gosden or somebody like that. Because he's just so stoic too. Like even when he watches his horses win, he's just like, okay. And he just turns around, like there's no excitement. There's just like a little pat of the program against his hand. And it's like, all right, that was a good one. And just like it moves on. And I like that. I like that understated style. So
yeah, Frankie's like one of those like larger than life personalities, like a super genuine human being. And you can just feel the good energy when you're talking with him, hanging out with him. I got to spend some time with him, like Breeders' Cup, and when he would come in for Pegasus Cup. Well, the Pegasus World Cup, I guess I should specify, not the Pegasus at Monmouth.
Right, he's not coming in for that. Yeah.
And just to have him here at Santa Anita over the winter, and I do hope that he continues to come back and remains an excellent ambassador for the sport. Just phenomenal boy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. So listen, there were a lot of great stories, and I thought one of the interesting stories was the relative, the relative mediocrity. Maybe that's too harsh of a word, but of Charlie Appleby and Godolphin. Those are names that we expect to win every single turf race, especially as Americans. I think we're trained to watch those horses and just think they're going to dominate because they come over here and do it. But it doesn't feel like that barn is as hot and maybe has the talent level that it's had in previous years. And it feels like Aiden is coming back strong. Aiden's got some dominant horses in his barn. I mean, Paddington is one, and River Tiber is another one that looked really good. So, it's going to be a lot of fun to hopefully get some of these horses coming over here for this year's Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. But we are getting ready here for race number 5. We got 0 minutes to post. They're loading them into the gate, and they're loading them in quickly here. Your favorite is a combo of the 2 and the 8. Let's turn things over to Kurt for the call, and good luck everyone on cashing your tickets here if you're playing to pick 3 or just playing this one straight up.
Now waiting on the other co-favorite at 2-1. That's Sky Tizzy. The field is set. They're at the post.
All right. And there we go. Good start.
And they're off. Fingertip pointed out to try and grab the early lead. Sky Tizzy on the outside has the same idea, and these two are going to do early battle. Settled back in third. That's Living Sky with Victoriaville on her outside. Just for Charlotte, a length and a half back, and the early trailer Miami Souvenirs about 10 off the lead. The opening quarter, 23-2 on the inside. Fingertip on the outside. Sky Tizzy settled back in third. Living Sky with Victoriaville checking sharply was Just for Charlotte, and Miami Souvenir is starting to show late run the half. 47 seconds. They hit the head of the lane. It's Fingertip and Sky Tizzy. These two are up by about 3 on the far outside,
Sky
trying
Tizzy
to make up ground.
Geez.
Miami Souvenirs with Just for Charlotte, but Sky Tizzy, she is gonna take it. She's gonna win by 2. Second's gonna be Just for Charlotte. Third, Miami Souvenirs, and fourth went to Fingertip.
There you go. And God bless Sky Tizzy for getting that win, because she looked like she needed the wire about a furlong to go. And I was sure that Miami Souvenirs was going to blow right by. And,
I thought he was going to close there. Yes. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, now granted, they went 3/4 of the way to Vancouver going around the far turn. And so, again, the inability to stay anywhere near the rail or near the same zip code as the rail just always cracks me up at this track. But it is it's one of those where that horse kind of flattened out, and it really looked like the 8 was fatiguing down the stretch, but managed to get the job done.
Her lactic acid after a run back on 5 days must be like 8,000.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
This is the run back on 5 days rest, and I shared those statistics with you about Jerry Gorno having success doing that, and there you go. Sky Tizzy gets the job done as the favorite at 2-1, and drops down in class and does the work there in race number 8, or race number 5, I should say, the number 8 horse. And then Just for Charlotte comes running up for second. Miami Souvenirs makes a run to get to third, but really kind of flattened out there. And then Fingertip, who, Colin, from a stable duel standpoint, 12-1, $750 gets you 4th place. That's not that bad.
Did you use them? I didn't use them. I had the 8. I was Sky Tizzy,
okay.
but I swapped I swapped always the little one for the 2 who's still running, so that's not going to do me very well.
Yeah, Living Sky did not run particularly well at all in that spot. So
so in Stable Duel, this is the race I actually picked 3. So I went 1, 7, 8. So when the 7 dropped, I decided to go for an alternate later on and not choose another from this race. And I'm kind of glad. Because I don't think I would have landed on the 5.
I think I used the 5 and the 3 in this one. I went with less expensive horses in this race, and so I went 5-3. So that worked out all right because second and 4th with $3,700 is all right. So
I did do I bet 8 overall for the exacta. That I came back with 8 over 5 with the exacta because of the payouts that I saw. So
nice.
Doing well there. And then I did an 8-8 all pick 3. So hopefully Milan, Ohio, the Midwestern state can get us through here, and then we'll
I love it. Nice. I love it.
Pick 3. 2-1's not the way you want to start, but that's okay.
That is okay.
Yeah, she got bit down a little bit there, and that's just because we're talking about her.
I know. That's again, right. the trust the profits. The trust the profits bump. It happens all the time. So,
Milan, Ohio is going off at 1-9.
Yeah, no, this is where you're going, folks. So, Milan, Ohio. That's what. Everybody's going to be playing this one. So, can't wait. So we got the unofficial results here. The official should be up here momentarily. We got 2 races left. My run it back pick 3 is still alive. Collins pick 3 is still alive. So this is good. And we're having some fun here. That was that was an interesting race. I mean, that 8. I mean, God bless her. That finish line got there for her. And I really was surprised that one. So Milan. Is it Milan? Is it Milan, Ohio? I think Pony Player keeps correcting us. I know. I see that, Pony Player. I see your comments. So Milan, Ohio. And I'm Italian, so I want to say Milan. And so, that's where it's coming from. But
Milan,
it's the movie, isn't it?
It's the movie, isn't it?
What are you thinking of?
The
movie. You thinking Mulan? No, that's Mulan.
Mulan.
The animated movie. So let's put a bow on this. Sky Tizzy pays $650 to win. Just for Charlotte pays $390 to place, and Miami Souvenirs pays $382 to show. The $1 exacta pays $14.55. The $1 try pays $48.40. The $1 superfecta pays $156.45, and the $1 pick 3 pays $60.65. So there you have it in terms of the payouts from that race number 5. But Milan, Ohio is going to be our pick here, or at least certainly mine, and in this next race, and and we'll see kind of how the betting plays out here in race number 6 as we get closer to that. I see Kevin asking a question in the chat, which is impossible to answer right now, which is who's the Derby favorite next year? He has not run yet. Or at least I doubt he's run yet.
Maybe it's a she. Could be a she.
Or she. I was going to say he or she, but then I went going with the pronoun.
We're not really do that anymore, but it could.
Yeah, no. But They have not run yet, I don't think. So, yeah.
I can tell you who it will not be is American Rascal.
No, certainly not. It will not be American Rascal at all.
Shoddy going. Forgot about Muth.
Yeah, Shoddy going with Muth. Early. See if you can get some early odds on Muth there, Shoddy. I like it. So, I mean, listen, that horse looked absolutely incredible winning. How these young precocious 2-year-olds do, continuing to stretch out and continuing to run. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. It's hard to call it too early. Obviously, there was a lot of hype around the horse Miramati, who did not particularly look good in debut. So, it's a little bit hit or miss with some of these 2-year-olds coming out of the gate. And, if this year was any indication, you actually kind of wanted to look for horses that just kind of popped up at the last second in a lot of instances. Mage kind of came out of nowhere to be a horse to end up getting the Derby. So you never know. But Colin, it's hard to believe, but it's a couple months away from, we got to start looking at Derby prep stuff again. So,
I was just Googling. Did I see that Arrogate's last juvenile would be this year, right?
Yep.
Or is it already passed? So that juvenile.
His very last one just sold this week. Yeah.
That must have been one of the headline that I saw. That's too early, man. You got to get through Saratoga before you can even start talking about next year's Derby, right?
I agree.
That's where the attention will be right now. That's where Double and Down's going to stay at Belmont Park, getting ready as we start, just like we do at Assiniboia. You got to start paying attention to a lot of tracks, but obviously Belmont is the most obvious for those that will ship up there. So that's where we have started to focus our attention as we get ready for my favorite time of year, which is Saratoga, which I'll be up there for Whitney weekend. If any viewers are out there, hit me up on Twitter DM. Be happy. So glad to have a drink with you and say hello to our awesome fans. I know Keith's going to be up there. Sean's going to be up there. So we'll have a little watch party.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I got to say, because Barchi is one of my favorites. I love Tom because Tom Wait till May, the hashtag wait till May. But he's even amending the hashtag, it sounds like, wait until they're all safely out of the paddock and on the track, perhaps, to do an analysis of the Kentucky Derby. I hear you, because good Lord, we had so much commotion, and not to make light of obviously Wild on Ice, but then just all the Skinner scratching and all these other horses scratching, then Forte scratching. And so, I mean, it was kind of a fool's errand. So, Tom, I love it.
Sex sells, though, Tom. Sex sells. So
yeah, no, exactly. Talking Derby sells. But yeah, wait until post time. It may have to be the new hashtag for Tom next year on this. So listen, let's talk. And then Dave, this is a rather funny one. Wait until July when the test results come back. So yeah, there's that too. So hopefully they come back quickly, though. But listen, we got a maiden claimer, $7,500 maiden claimer for state bred fillies and mares, and this is going 6 furlongs.
We're getting to that time of the night too, Matt, where I have to pay attention to the paddock. It's getting late.
I know.
10:30 now. Last week's sleepy pick, which was a really long shot. So when I pick a sleepy pick and it's a long shot, I really hope that horse is going to not perform well. But that 2 last week, which is my sleepy pick, actually ran up and finished a strong second. So last week's sleepy pick was not on par compared to the first 3 or 4 weeks when we had 5-2, 7-2s, 9-2s, and I said that one looks sleepy, and they ran up the end of the track. So I've got Assiniboia here on my big screen, and I will be really honing in now to see which one looks like it might need a little kick.
Yeah, because we are now at the 10:30 mark, and so this is where the sleepy time pick starts coming in, and
so everyone knows that's a horse we're fading. Don't bet the sleepy pick. That's the opposite.
The sleepy pick. Yeah, the sleepy pick is the horse you want to avoid. Right. Yes. That's the whole idea.
It seems to be self-explanatory, but you never know.
No, you never know.
Someone's
going to be DMing me going, "You asshole! You cost me $50 on the sleepy pick in the 6th race at the Assiniboia Downs."
I love it. But Carson, where did you end up going in this one?
Oh, gosh, in this one, I'm on the 4 and the 8 in the pick 4, and on the 8 in the pick 3. I looked at the 1 initially this morning. It was the morning line favorite. I should say, not this morning, earlier. The morning line favorite, and has been losing money here to the 8 steadily. So
yeah.
I don't know that I have any strong feelings.
Yeah, it was one of those where I didn't like the 1 a lot in this race. I always talk about this. I don't like the rail in sprints. We've seen now multiple horses get off. Now Miami Souvenirs is a closer, so it wasn't surprising that he didn't get off, or she didn't get off particularly well in the last race. But we saw Blazing Bow blow the brake from that inside rail. And this is a horse that doesn't possess great early speed necessarily, like can get out okay, but fell back really quickly last time out and was caught on the rail. And now you're back on the rail. And I just, maybe the horse learned something, maybe not, but I just, I don't know. I worry about that.
The 8 looks like a Midwesterner ready to roll, on his toes, ears are perked, looking around, alert. If there's a horse that I would like to see the way I like a horse to look, the 8 is checking those boxes right now.
Yeah, and listen, the 8 on paper I think made a lot of sense for me. Mile and Ohio we've talked a lot about, but Mike Taphorn, the trainer, let's talk about him. Have a meet Mike Taphorn, 5 for 10 winning at the meet so far. Okay. So you don't see many 50% trainers. And so that's what you're seeing from him. This is a horse that's only his 3rd career race. And this horse made a legitimate step forward last time out, going 5.5 furlongs, closing into some nice speed. And when I say closer, this horse wasn't that far off the pace early, but then just kind of other horses started falling back and was able to get the job done for a second place finish. So I thought that was good. Big Energy is 5 for 6 in the money. Has never obviously won a race before and feels like a very honest horse, but you do have to worry if this is a little bit of always the bridesmaid, never the bride sort of a situation with the horse like this. 3rd back in the form cycle. We'll have to wait and see. And then the only other horse that was interesting to me a little bit was the number 6, All Terrain Jane, who's coming back on short rest as well. And doing a little bit of a class drop, is actually running against the girls for the first time, was running against Open Company the last 2 times out, and in those first debut efforts. And, kind of had very similar speed figures to Mile and Ohio. So I thought, the 6 might make a little bit of sense. I know some people like the 7 in the chat as well from earlier today in terms of rye bread. But Colin, I know you and I are all about the 8 here. Oh, and do we have a sleepy time pick?
We sure do.
Be cautious. Be cautious here. This is early. This is the early choice right now. 6 is they're all going the circle. They're on their toes. Look at the 6, not even moving. Tail hasn't even wagged.
No, now we got the now it knows that you're talking about it.
A little kick up there. Looks like it needs to be urged though for that tag wheel. He needed a little hello, are you here?
Prompting from Colin.
So I haven't made it my pick yet, but early in the paddock, it could be the 6.
Yep, there you go. So Dave Barista playing the 6-8 and the 1-6-8 as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see how the board is playing out. Obviously, the 8 is now your favorite at 8-5. Big Energy at 3-1. The number 1 horse is at 7-2. All Terrain Jane, who's in contention for the sleepy time pick, is 7-1 currently, and is your 4th choice. Rye Bread has taken a ton of money. Has come down from 25-1 on the morning line to 9-1 right now. So that is a horse that absolutely is attracting a little bit more of attention. And the number 1. Anna Kozana has kind of drifted up a little bit as we've been talking, and in terms of from the morning line, 9-5 to or 8-5 morning line, I should say, but has Antonio Whitehall aboard. So that Sean someplace is going to be playing that one. So we'll see.
Checking in on the 6 here. 6 is a statue. I think the 6 is asleep. So. But we're going to give the 6 the sleepy time check mark for tonight's show.
All right. I respect it. I like the 6 a little bit handicapping this race, but I respect Colin's sleepy time pick, and I can't now in good conscience play the 6.
Maybe the 6 is like the security blanket for the 1. They're both Shelley Brown horses, so Maybe the 6 is there
like
to let out the 1.
the 6 is almost just like a pony, just to be like, hey, buddy, like it's okay, everything's fine.
It's all good. It's all good.
I love it. That's really funny. If that's the case, but yeah, it's I see Chris D'Souza here likes the 4 a little bit in this race. Obviously, big energy, and he's going with 4-7. So he's going to use Rybread in there as well. And yeah, Rybread, listen, third back on the form cycle, and has run against these horses before and finished a little further back, but might like to stretch out. So we'll see. But going 4-7, so good luck there. And right at the wire said the 6 seems like a good horse to put your kids on for a picture. And that seems like that type of a horse potentially. Hey, nothing wrong with that. And
that's a great comment too.
Yeah, that is a great comment. So and Jeff Brandis appreciates the paddock handicap. Some people go to Maggie Wolfendale, some people go to Acacia Courtney, other people go to Colin Sheehan to talk about sleepy time picks. And I think that's totally appropriate. So I love it.
Here for the people.
People, indeed you are. Yeah, this is good times. So yeah, we got so they're still in the paddock because I know we're at like 2 minutes to post, and
they're trying to get the 6. They're telling the 6, hey, it's time to go. They're all waiting. It's like when I get my kids ready for school in the morning, and one of them's like eager and at the door, shoes on, water in his hand, let's go, and the other one is you can't find him. So you end up being late. You end up being late for school because of the one kid that doesn't know how to get ready. Yeah, they're trying to find the 6. They're trying to say, let's go. It's time.
Yeah, it's time. We need Bruce Buffer here. It's time. Yeah. So we got interesting race here. I was like going, I love playing maiden claimers. So that's just, these are my types of races to play. So
me too. This is where
I
I usually don't like this was a tough one. I tend to prefer horses that have shown early speed in a race like this with maiden claimers because it's the lowest level, and especially on a night like tonight where we've seen the early speed really be an attacking position.
That's a good point. That's a great point.
Nobody has closed on, but in this race, where are you seeing that come from? It's probably your boy the 6, maybe the 1.
6 or 7. Yeah. No, I think that's going to be the big question. Is does somebody just circle the field and is able to just wire the field, I should say. And I don't know. I mean, Anna Kozana maybe could do it, but I just don't have a ton of confidence in this horse going 6 furlongs from the inside rail. All Terrain Jane's got good speed, but has never really been on the lead before. Rybread, kind of the same thing, but the way the track's playing, maybe it's just it holds on. But
there's no way on a day when a Twitter post that I post has 8,000 views for me, which is high, right?
Yeah.
And all the comments are about Ohio. There's no way that this 8 does not come through for us tonight.
And by the way, we need to give a shout out to Shoddy's bartender Ivy. We got to give a shout out to Ivy. I don't know if Ivy's on the Foghorns ticket at all, but Ivy, shout out to you for hanging out with us as well at the bar at Foghorns, watching the College World Series, getting us up on the TV there at Foghorns as well. Really appreciate it. So shout out to Ivy tonight. Always appreciate that. And Tim Hughes says this feels like the lock of the night in terms of the 8 and the 4. And I agree. I mean, they kind of feel like pretty logical picks here. And so Tim's using that 8-4 exacta in this particular race. So that one feels, like I said, pretty straightforward. And Shoddy turned the volume up for us. So I love it. And really appreciate that. So listen, we got, they're on the track now. Finally, they're going through the field. And we'll bring the stream up. So, Colin, I know you're still on the fact that the 6 is the sleepy time horse, but maybe one more shot.
Let's see.
Take a look at everybody here as they're coming through, showing No Midnight, who's making a debut today. or maybe it was the 2 that's making the debut, I should say. Yeah, the 2 was.
The 2.
Yeah. So big energy. Ears are perked. Looking pretty good.
I don't know about big energy, but it's got some energy.
Jackie's Thunder. Maybe not Jackie's Warrior, but Jackie's Thunder up there looking pretty good.
Yeah, she's looking okay. All right, here we go. It's a big moment. Big moment. He's perked up a little bit, but you know, these other horses here have been preparing for 20 minutes, waiting for this one to get ready. So, you got a question. Can you just jump out of bed and not take a shower and get in your cold car and be ready to go? Yeah. I'm going to stick with the 6, and it's hard. This is a hard decision because we don't know what they look like for race 7 yet. But we're going to give the sleepy pick to number 6.
Yeah. And,
are we going to get sponsored by Celestial Seasonings for this, Colin?
Oh, we really should. There's so much sponsorship opportunities. I love it. But it's interesting, Carson, this is a point you made last week with a horse, and it might have actually been, was it Mile in Ohio? I don't know. Is when you can know, because it would have been last week, and this horse didn't run last week.
I think it was the 12th. I was trying to look at my notes.
But you made a note that one of the horses didn't have a pony with him, and Mile in Ohio didn't have a pony with him in this race, and I just thought that was interesting because I remember you made a point to make that when another horse ran another time. So but just on the post parade, I just realized they didn't have a pony there. So that's how awake the 8 is. The 8's like, right? Get these ponies away from me. I'm ready to roll. The 8's ready.
I mean, maybe she just doesn't. I mean, she's a 4-year-old mare. Maybe she's just like F off, or maybe she's just knows her job and doesn't need the distraction.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So this is kind of a 4-8 sort of a race in a lot of ways, but it's a great point, Colin, that a lot of times in maiden claimers, I do like to go after speed, and I do like to try to avoid the favorites. Now, one of the things that you'll see that makes Assiniboia a little bit different is that a lot of times if you're playing Gulfstream, if you're playing Belmont, Saratoga, and you get a maiden claiming race, you get horses dropping in class, or you get what I refer to as the makeover package. They're getting the blinkers put on the first time. They're getting LASIX for the first time. They got gelded recently. There's a trainer change. There's a surface switch. There's all of these variables that all of a sudden change. And I love to go after big priced horses with a makeover package. You don't really get that here. I mean, you don't get, these horses have all been running with LASIX. You only have one surface. You don't really get a trainer change. A lot of these horses already have blinkers on. So you don't get the sort of same, like, oh, I think I can find a price here with a makeover package. So sometimes these maiden claiming races can be a little bit more formful than they would be at other tracks because of that. Because I know you and I both like to try to find a big price in these races, but a little hard to find one, I think, here.
Yeah, and you also have all of these horses that started the last 2 races, or last at least one, at the same level. So you don't even have the horses that, sometimes you get those horses that run in maiden special weights that lose by 40 lengths, and they're the only one dropping from a maiden special weight, and they end up, being somewhat of a longer shot because of the fact that they finished 8th by 40 lengths, and that is, and they showed a little bit of early speed in that race. That to me is when I feel pretty confident in a horse like that.
Yep, absolutely. No, I'm the same way with that. I like to see that. Oh yeah, Joe, that's a really great point. That was the Lisa Pruitt bred firster last week who went without the pony. That's a really good point. Yes, that was the one we all liked from the breeding standpoint. Yeah. Good memory there, Joe. So
did he win?
No, she did not win. And she had a terrible start, if I remember, and just had a really tough trip. Charles B., I give the 4 and 5 extra credit for running first start as 2-year-olds in the debutante. So going back there and looking, yeah, that's true. Both those 4 and 5 do, there were clearly some expectations there with both of these horses that they would start in such a big spot. And then the 4 in particular stayed up at the maiden special weight level for the next 2 races out and then dropped down finally in the race previously, or the last race of the year in the meet. So, yeah, So listen, it's they're getting there, getting closer. By the way, shout out to everybody who's been hanging out with us in the chat. 62 people here. Really appreciate it. Appreciate everybody coming over from Stable Duel. And I'm going to give a little bit of a Stable Duel update here in a second to see how we're all doing. I know Sean's been having rolling power outages up there. I think Carson's dealing with some power issues as well. And so in the $25 game, we got Uncle Sully up to 4th in the $25 game. There you go, Uncle Sully. If he stays up there, he gets automatic entry into the winner-take-all Manitoba Derby game at Stable Duel. I'm hanging out in 15th and 17th, just, middle of the pack, just a mid-packer, just a plotter right now. The $5 game, let's see who we got up top there. We had a lot of people. Yep, Basil Fawlty and Sean Patrick Nolan still holding things down up on the front end. And Basil Fawlty having a day. He's got 2 horses left here, Milan, Ohio, and House Limit in the last 2. SPN has a couple of horses left as well. He's just got 1. He's got Explosive in this race, or in the last race, I should say. But those guys are up there. Penn State Scott doing really well from the chat as well. He's got Milan, Ohio in this race. He's in 7th right now. So love to see, absolutely love to see all the folks from the chat doing well here in the Assiniboia Downs games, whether it's the 5 or 25. So, yeah, this is a lot of fun. Hey, and we got a Stable Duel legend. We got a Stable Duel legend here. No need to call it. Is here hanging out with us, and he could use the 4 here for Stable Duel. And yeah, listen, the 4 big energy makes a ton of sense for Devin Gittins and Ronaldo Cumberbatch. 5 for 6 in the money, and is a horse that really, has always turned in a very strong effort and has run against some really nice competition going back to last year. I do worry if this horse just always is just going to be destined to run 2nd and 3rd. But certainly looks very formidable in this group for sure. And we'll see if the 8 can take a step forward here at 8-5. Definitely like the price you're getting on the 4 right now. I didn't think you'd get 7-2. It's even ticking up a little bit. That's actually an excellent price on the 4 in this spot. So I would say that's pretty good. Your 1 Anna Kozana is at 5-2. And your favorite right now is Milan, Ohio, mainly because of the Trust the Profits bounce. We got this horse down. This horse started the day at 7-2. We got this horse down to 3-2 now because of this. So, yeah, love it.
This is exciting. This is exciting based on the trajectory of today and the comments by let's see, go back and get it there, by Joe P, who right here, had it called a few hours ago from the conversation that we had on Twitter. And I'm a sucker for serendipity type things like this. So I got my heart beating almost as fast as when they're loading up for the Kentucky Derby and we're about to do our live preview. And you're like, here we go, Matt. We've been waiting months for this. There's never been so much anticipation for Assiniboia Downs. I think the last moment we had like this was you and Mia Bear.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So not only do I feel like I got a sleepy pick that a lot of people like, which actually hasn't happened too many times.
Yeah, the 6. Yeah, Ultra AJ.
We've also got this pressure on the 8 that a lot of us have singled. We had this 8 singled in our pick 4 too.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens.
I do not have the 8 singled in my pick. My run it back pick 3. I think I have the 4-8 in this one. So I'm a little safe. But yeah, let's see what we can do here, man. I hear you. This will be fun. So they're getting them loaded in here. I think they have 2 left to load, it looks like. Getting ready. So they're getting Rye Bread ready. It looks like they're working on the number 6, trying to get that one in right now. Trying to get All Terrain Jane because she's so sleepy, trying to get her in. And now Rye Bread moving up into line, moves into the line nicely. And now Milan, Ohio. So we'll turn it over to Kurt for the call. Good luck, everybody, in the 6th race at Assiniboia Downs. Let's cash some tickets.
The field is set. They're at the post. And they're off. In between horses, All Terrain Jane shows some good early speed with Milan, Ohio. Look her in the eye on the outside. Anna Kozana on the rail in 3rd, 2 lengths back. In between horses, big energy. Jackie's Thunder, 3 wide. Then a gap of 2.5 lengths back is going to be Rye Bread. 2 more. And No Midnight and No Barbed Wire. The early trailer. 23 seconds, the opening quarter, and it's all-terrain Jane and Milan, Ohio. Holding up 5 on the field.
She woke up indeed.
Cosenza trying to reel him in from third. Big Energy in fourth. Then it's Jackie's Thunder and Rye Bread. The half 46-4. They hit the head of the lane.
Come on,
all-terrain Jane still has the lead by a half a length.
Get by.
On the outside, Milan, Ohio. Big Energy trying to come up the rail. A 16th of a mile to go. All-terrain Jane. Big Energy, a late surge, but all-terrain Jane looks like she hung on. Big Energy in second. Third's going to go to Etta Kazana, and fourth to Milan, Ohio.
There we go. The upset of the night. The first time it has ever happened.
Upset of the century.
Upset of the century. Colin's sleepy time pick, just one, race number 6, ladies and gentlemen. All-terrain Jane woke up and wired the field in the maiden claimer. You were talking about, you want to get early speed. You want to get, the speed horses, get them out there on the front end. All-terrain Jane gets the job done there at a decent enough price and gets the win. So Colin, it's been a rough night.
It's going to be a long week thinking about this.
Look at her stumbling back to the winner's circle. Not even picking up her feet.
She was tired before the race. She's tired after the race. During the race, she ran like hell.
She was definitely the security blanket. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
It's this damn jockey that Sean has put in our head that just keeps torturing us.
Bino. Yeah.
At the wrong times, but it's okay. Yeah. We'll pick ourselves up. We'll go home tonight. We'll take a look at these horses in the paddock in race 7. No more sleepy picks tonight.
Yeah. You're not even gonna do. You're canceling sleepy picks for the last race.
Yeah, you can only do one per night. You can only do one per night.
All right.
You can't go to bed early on sleepy picks, Colin.
All right.
No. And Keith nailed it. I should sign up. I could sign up with Trusty on his website and
start selling these picks. Yeah,
start selling my sleepy picks that you can fade. I only say that because my boy Trusty's here. I saw him check in. So.
Yeah, no, I know we love Trusty, and we do. And Uncle Sully, yeah, man, Bino for the people. I mean, he really is having a great meet. I mean, he is, and Sean was absolutely right. He is riding horses that he's not riding favorites in a lot of cases. He's riding horses that are a little bit of a price, and he's riding them well. And this is just another example of a great ride. Colin, we were talking beforehand, where's the speed going to come from? He took advantage of that. And he basically said, listen, I'm going to be the speed. I'll get out there and I'll go. And it seems like this track is really holding on. And this is the second race in a row where a horse looked a little weary coming down the stretch and still managed to hold on for the win on the front end. So definitely seems like it's a little bit of a speed favoring track here. So good to see that.
And in hindsight, me and Matt, you said anybody that says Ohio is completely wrong. So in hindsight, we should have faded the Ohio angle because
in hindsight, we should have.
Anybody that says Ohio is the start of the Midwest is still wrong. Yeah. You're still wrong.
They're still wrong. But here we go. We got All-Terrain Jane pays $12.80 to win. Big Energy pays $3 to place. Anna Cosenza pays $3 to show. And it looks like there might have been a photo between Milan, Ohio, and Rye Bread. In any event, they're just showing that because of the super high five. I'm sorry. So Rye Bread finishes 5th. The $1 exacta pays $17.05. The $1 try pays $61.10. The $1 super pays $134.20. The $1 super high five pays $1,353, and the $1 pick 3 pays a nice $122. So there you go with a big win there for All-Terrain Jane, who I will say was my value play in this race. So if you watch Capping the Cards, this was a horse that I liked on paper. And then I listened to my colleague here, Colin, tell me that it was sleepy, and it all went to crap. So I will say the horse did not look as peppy as I would have wanted. I agree with you, Colin. I'm not knocking your selection at all. The horse definitely was a statue in the paddock for a long time. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Big performance though. Big performance for the way she looked in the paddock compared to how broke alertly and just went. And To credit what Maggie does so well is that she'll make a note on something like that, right? And be like, yo, hey, so next time we see this horse, you look back at your notes and you go, oh, what I see is actually not something to be concerned about. This horse has performed really well, even though the looks don't match what you're hoping if you're putting the money down. So I will write that note down as the first horse. This horse will now forever be in my repertoire of Assiniboia Downs horses as the first horse to break the sleepy time pick curse.
I feel like this is also coincides with something we talked about on our Stephen Foster special, where we talked about horses that break trainer streaks are as horses that we want to always look at. And we talked about, Ken McPeak is a trainer who is notoriously bad switching horses off of Lasix in graded stakes races. And yet both Smile Happy and Rattle and Roll have won under those conditions the last couple of times out. And so we talk about how this is like, it gives those horses even more of an aura because they've overcome a very traditional trainer angle. And we talked about, I mentioned a horse, Red Carpet Ready, for Rusty Arnold, who's the same way. Rusty Arnold was 0-42 coming off the bench, and Red Carpet Ready comes and runs a banger of a race, and looks like, the second coming. And you just go, all right, geez, this horse must be really good, because this is not a trainer who really gets him ready off the bench, and for the horse to look that good. So now All Terrain Jane's like up there. Maybe Mia Bear's got to get knocked off of the spot. All Terrain Jane's moving up there as a top horse at Assiniboia, and Chicago's Gray.
Chicago's Gray and All Terrain Jane, 1 and 2.
I love it. No, that's great. That's great.
I got to listen. Your discussion on Stephen Foster is on my to-do list because I'll be covering the race Saturday.
Oh, excellent.
Very curious to see the reasoning why Kenny and Lucky Seven Stable are putting Smile Happy and Rattle and Roll against one another in a win you're in.
I'm a little surprised by that as well. And I was a little surprised why Kenny took Classic Causeway over to Royal Ascot. So there's lots of things that I sometimes am curious about what Ken does. But,
well, he did say that, that wasn't the goal, but it just the horse's tracks converged that way. And he didn't want to take away from what he thought was the horse's, each of those individual horses kind of best next shot. So hopefully you get one of them in there, but if you only put one in and then you don't get there, you're always going to be saying, well, maybe
what if I'd run the other? Yeah.
So it's probably maybe you don't want to be doing that second guessing. We won't spoil the show. You can go check it out.
Oh no, I'm still listening.
I am high on Smile Happy. Smile Happy ended up being my top pick, and I just feel like Rattle and Roll is a kind of a grade 3 type horse who gets grade 1 credit for the best grade 1 race there is, the Breeders' Futurity. But to take that as a 2-year-old and apply that to as a 4-year-old, to me is a little like, well, okay, let's see. But I really think Smile Happy fits well in this race, and that's where my top pick went.
Yeah. So I think Smile Happy makes a ton of sense this weekend as well. I mean, it wasn't my top pick. But I think that, it's going to be interesting to see how that track plays. I mean, Ellis Park, we've seen some big time speed performances. You saw Society just absolutely run them off their feet. You saw Hoosier Philly wire the field and the Monomoy Girl. So, you've seen some of that early speed really be effective there. Can you do it go in 2 turns and can you do it with a horse like Stiletto Boy and Speed Bias and West Willpower kind of all presumably up there vying for early contention. So that's fun that you're going to be going there. Now, have you been to Ellis Park yet for this meet, Carson? Have you obviously been to Ellis Park before, I'm sure, but just I didn't know for this meet.
You haven't? Ellis Park. No. It'll be my first time at Le Pea Patch.
We're gonna hire you from the Pea Patch so you can live stream on your phone for us, since that's the only way we're going to be able to watch it, since a certain big network who has the biggest contract of vehicles going around in a circle can't figure out animals going around in a circle and get it on air.
Yeah, I'm just going to put my husband in the truck and have him circle and we'll upload it, and we'll do the same for Kentucky Downs. So
yeah, there you go. I love it.
So I'm excited to see the ravine of the Ohio River. And I'm really big on Rattle and Roll. I think he's He's getting the. I know he turned back on 2 weeks at the Pimlico race, and now he's gotten a month. And Brian is staying on Rattle and Roll, not on Smile.
Yeah.
Well, no, but that's because you're not gonna put Brian Hernandez on Smile Happy when he's never ridden him before, right? And Corey Lanerie
won in the last race, right?
I'm sorry, the opposite. You're not going to put Corey Lanerie on Rattle and Roll when he's never ridden him, right?
No,
so
I totally get it. I'm just curious if Brian picked or they were told, because it's same trainer, same owner. Yeah. So everything else is neutralized. It's a perfect vacuum of scientific testing of control factors.
Yeah, so absolutely.
It'll be great. A good race.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The should be a fun one. And like I said, if you're interested in hearing Colin and I's comments, make sure to check out that video here on the channel that just dropped today. So you can watch our analysis. And we got the Formula who's going to be dropping a full field rundown for that race as well. So
and Matt and I agreed on our value pick. So you want to check that out.
We did agree on our value pick. And if you know me at all, you probably know what my value pick is going to be. But anyway, so listen, we got the bailout race here, and we got some bailing out to do. So we got the bailout, and I remember us talking that this felt like a very, pretty wide open race, but this features another invader from Century Mile who's been running really, really well, and that's the number 2 Quinto Sol, who just won at a mile, and we should mention a mile race, $15,000 allowance or $15,000 optional claimer. This is a horse that was coming out of a stakes race 2-back where he finished 3rd, and then last time out won by a length and 3/4 and looked really easy doing it over a good surface. A Century Mile going that distance is 2 for 6 winning at this distance, 4 for 6 in the money at the distance. Has turned in some nice works leading up to its season this year. But then you have the kind of the Assiniboia horse. So this is a little bit of a rematch, a very similar play, I feel like, to race number 3, where you had the Century Mile Invader and the Assiniboia horse. The Assiniboia horse was Chicago's Gray in race number 3, and you had the Invader from Century Mile. Here's the same sort of dynamic, and this one, Explosive, is your Assiniboia Downs horse that's run just 2 absolutely dynamite races in this kind of optional claiming 10 level, now stepping up to an optional claiming 15, but looked really, really good, obviously winning last time out over sloppy conditions, going 2 turns at 7 furlongs here. So, Colin, where did you go in this last race?
I bet the 3 because he's gray.
There you go. That's the sort of analysis we come here for. Monster
Yes. No. Yeah, so as you had mentioned, I thought that it was open as well. I actually gave the 1 house limit my check mark. And as I had mentioned, when I went into Stable to put house limit in my stable, let's see what it ended up being. So I was 1 of 131 when I added this horse. It ended up at 12 out of 131, so only 9% have taken this horse. But I went back to that last race last year at a mile. Putting up a 91 Brisnet speed figure. And then as I've talked earlier in this card, when we were on fire before we cooled off, we were looking at, we started with a 7 furlong race, then we had a 7.5 furlong race. And I mentioned how at those funky distances, I prefer the horses that have had success. A mile, I'm not as crazy on that angle, but it's certainly something I'll pay attention to. And this horse has raced 22 times at a mile with 5 victories, a 2nd and 4 thirds. This is 3rd off the layoff, so I'm willing to give a pass on the first 2. Now, the negative, I would say, is that Whitehall was aboard this horse and now has jumped ship to ride the 4, who Sean really liked. And Sean talked about Magic Tiger, who Explosive ran against 2-back. So I'm certainly paying attention to that. The speed figures for Explosive certainly fit. I had Explosive highlighted and kind of got a 2nd check mark for me, but on top I had house limit, and we'll see if this horse can come back and repeat some of what it had been doing later in last season's meet. Some of those races in August and September, I think, absolutely fit here. They were a little bit shorter, but this one showed a lot of early speed in those races, and if there's anything that we've learned tonight that I would want, it's to have that early speed. And going by chart, the CHV, Jeff's charting horse, He gave the early speed nod to the number 1 with a 97 over Explosive, who only got an 81. And then I'll check Brisnet real quick because Brisnet actually had early pace with Monstradamus, which is the 3.
Oh, interesting.
Who was the horse I said I didn't have a lot of money left, and that's who I used last in my stable duel.
Yeah.
So I'm 1-3. I'm sorry, that was number 4. But I liked House Limit.
Yeah, I know you're like that one a lot early on. You were talking about. So Carson, where did you go in this last race? Where did your eye take you in this one?
Initially I was on the 3. I think I needed 2 horses for this race after the 7 scratched earlier, and I picked up the 1 for stable duels purposes. Also, the Shaman Ghost is drawing my eye. It was a little bit older, and I know the Jennifer Jordan 0 for whatever we are now.
Yeah, 0 for 19 now, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess it's more of a sentimental pick for Shaman Ghost to get another winner in there.
Yeah. Tim mentioned that he liked the work, and that's something I mentioned earlier in the stream as well. I like sometimes that these horses will get works in between races, and particularly sometimes younger horses. There was reference to a race earlier in the card, but I do like the fact this horse got to work in over the track and over the surface, and the 8. Jared Brown's a really good trainer. He's got his number 1 jockey, Jorge Carreno, up, and you're getting a good price on those 2. I will say, I traditionally don't like that far outside post when you're going 2 turns at Assiniboia. That's a concern. I do remember Whitehall got a horse home a couple of weeks ago when they went 2 turns, and he basically just made a left-hand turn out of the gate and was just like, we're just going to go to the rail and give up a lot of position, but we're just going to save ground. That was on a little bit more of a closing favoring track, I think. And so, he was able to do it that night. Colin, you brought up that, the first couple of times, what we've seen tonight is speed is, you want to be on the front end. And certainly.
Is anybody closed?
Well, the only horse that closed was the horse in the second race that we liked, Runaway Hurricane, who came from off the pace in that race. But that was the only one. That's literally 1 out of 6 who's closed tonight. Otherwise, it's been early speed every other race. So you can potentially close going 2 turns. But what I'll say there is that race, they had a contested early pace up front as well. And that, I think, helped the 1 be able to hit that stride and close.
But on paper, in a lot of these races, we've talked about there being it's not like the races have been lacking early speed, and they've had at least going by paper, right? Like we've looked at it and said, oh, there's quite a bit of horses that want to be early here, maybe not in the last one. But it's not like those horses that have won on the front end have necessarily, at least going into the race on paper, been like, oh, this is a clear early speed advantage. And you could probably say a little bit of that here as well, because you've got early speed on the 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 hasn't shown it recently, but has in the past. The 6 gets an EP5 on Brisnet. Actually, every horse in this race gets an E or an EP with Brisnet.
Wow, that sounds like a Assiniboia.
and so that's just to my point of it's really been the break and getting out well.
Absolutely. So I mean, you're absolutely right. It's been the break getting out well, and so we'll see kind of how this one plays out tonight. But let us know if anybody's still alive in the pick sequence. Let us know. Let us know who you need here. If you're in the pick 5, the pick 4, the pick 3, hell, even your daily double. Let me know if you're still alive in any of these and who you need in the chat, so we can route those horses home for you here on the live stream. Dennis, I hear you on that. I do think the 2 and 4 just look kind of better than everybody else. I think that makes sense. But I think there's some other horses that can kind of come in nicely, underneath in that spot. So I think you and I kind of see it a little bit the same way. Bobby D is playing a win place on the 7 in this race. So he's going on Roaming Union, and that's, your boy Demario Bino. That's I don't blame you. Just bet him right now, 'cause he's riding well. So Roaming Union, horse that it's interesting. I think it was Bobby. He was high on this horse at the very beginning of the night. And I will say this horse ran an absolute banger of a race last time out and closed and showed a lot of ability at 6 furlongs. This horse, 12 career efforts at the distance and only hit the board 3 times, but there are a couple of big time speed figures in there from his time back at Canterbury. So in Oaklawn Park even before that. So this horse has got some nice back class and nice form. So I do understand what the appeal in going to Roaming Union, who we should say was a huge price last time out, and which was just last week, and now is coming back and is still a huge price. So I know he's stepping up in class, but there's something to like here with this horse.
I said the same thing about I highlighted in red, which to me is a negative, was the distance. So 12 times at the distance with only 3/3. But I did also circle those speed figures that did pop off the page. Was that last year?
Last year.
Early in last year.
Yeah. And we got to give a shout out to our guy Basil Faulty here, who is currently winning the $5 contest at Assiniboia Downs in the lead. He really needs the one. He needs the one here to run well. So he needs your one house limit. So he was the other one who was on house limit. So
he's probably cursing me for having him.
So
he's ripping up his ticket. Call him.
So he's doing really well. Penn State Scott's in 7th. No need to call it. Who chimed in earlier is in 8th. Sean Patrick Nolan's in 9th. I've moved up to 16th thanks to All Terrain Jane in the last race. And so, we're doing we have good representation for the Trust the Profits live stream there in the $5 game. In the $25 game, I got to give a huge shout out to Uncle Sully if he's still around. Uncle Sully is up to 2nd in the $5 game and is absolutely crushing it. He is on the 2 in this last race. So it is, it's a
Don't
big
forget
time.
about me. I'm in 9th.
Are you in 9th, Carson, in the 25?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, there you are.
Do you have somebody here?
I'm 9th to the 1 and the 3 here.
There you go.
Oh, you're probably cursing me too then.
Yeah. So as Basil Faulty said, he goes, "I'm done. Put a fork in me." Now that Colin's on the 1 too. The one ended up getting 14 people, Colin. I think some of that had to do with the scratch of all the little ones earlier. Yep. And then people having to find a horse that's roughly the same price later in the card. But hey, no matter how they ended up getting there, they ended up there. So listen, good luck to everybody who's still alive in all of these.
What's that supposed to mean? They call in handicaps and he gets to the horse. These guys just they're forced to take a horse at the same price.
Hey, listen, however you get there, I don't care how you get there. Get a winner. So Curtain Stretch basically see this one as a 2-4 exacta, which I think a lot of Dennis made reference to, and certainly they're looking there, and they mentioned the 5 as well. Kurt likes the 5 a little bit. Ghost Art, who Carson you mentioned as a horse that you were kind of rooting for there a little bit for Jennifer Jordan. What's so interesting is that barn had success last year at this meet, and it just is not having success this year. She's a good trainer. I mean, those two, Austin and her, won like a 22% clip and even higher clip last year, and just they aren't getting in the winner's circle this year. So maybe she just needs a little bit more time. So we'll see. But they're getting ready here for the final race, and just a big thank you to everybody who's watching here on YouTube. If you found us through Stable Duel, if you found us through Twitter, if you just found us by stumbling around YouTube or the player portal on Assiniboia Downs, thanks for joining.
Let us know.
Let us know first of all
how you found us. How you found us, how you came about here, because that helps us, figure out kind of where we need to approach next, whether it's putting out the start of the Midwest polls on Twitter, or if it's we all know it's because of Matt's incredible capping the card.
Oh sure.
Or Shoddy putting us up on a bar, so we get the Arkansas crowd there.
We get the Arkansas.
Would love to hear it though.
So, and Shadi is she's closing the bar down for this race. So this is down to this race. So here we go. Indeed, getting them loaded into the gate. It looks like, and getting them. Yeah, they're starting to. Well, it's still circling around a little bit. It looks like they're starting to walk the one up to the gate to get going here. In the final bailout, the Classic High Five pool is up to around $5,000 and growing, $4,600 currently. So,
Matt, give us an ice cold Classic High Five.
Ooh, ice cold Classic High Five. Okay, hold on. I'll do this. I'm going to go 2, 4, 3, 1, 6. That's what I'm going to do. 2, 4, 3, 1, 6.
All right.
So we'll see. So maybe play 6, 4, 3, or yeah, maybe go the opposite of mine. But that I'll play that one. Yeah, exactly. So all right. Well, they're getting them loaded in here, so we're going to turn things over to Kurt here in the final bailout race at Assiniboia Downs. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll stay on for a minute or two after this race is over. But currently, Explosive is your favorite. The number 4 at 6-5, followed closely by Quinto Sol at 9-5. But getting the last couple loaded in. Turn it over to Kurt. Good luck on everybody's tickets, and I hope we cash and get some winners here.
Now just waiting on 30 seconds out to the outside. They're all set. They're at the post. And they're off. Stumbling at the start was Quinto Sol from the inside house limit. Shows good early speed and will open up by a length and a half as they pass the grandstand for the first time. Monstradamus on the inside in second. Third on the outside, the favorite Explosive. Warriors Map settled in fourth. Quinto Sol moving up on the rail in fifth. Then it's 30 seconds out to his inside go start. And your early trailer will be Roman Union. House Limit cuts the opening quarter in 23-3 and has that lead by 2 lengths. Explosive settled on the outside in second. Monstradamus on the rail in third. On the inside, Quinto Sol in fourth. Warriors Map back in fifth. A gap of 5 more to 30 seconds out. Roman Union making up ground. And now the trailer goes start the half. 47-2. They're sizzling on the front. And the leader's still House Limit.
No way you go
as they hit the head of the lane. Quinto Sol on the outside. Wow, running a huge race after stumbling at the start. Is gonna draw away.
Look at this, Matt.
16 mile to go and win by 5. Explosive is second best. Third's gonna go to Monstradamus and fourth, the House Limit.
You almost nailed. Who got fifth?
The 7. And the 6 got sixth. So I almost nailed it. Man alive, that was really close. I should have played the frickin' super at the very least. So just gave out the ice cold super right before they loaded in. So there you go. Oh wow. That was the highlight of the night, maybe. Just almost hitting the Classic High Five in the last race. Good Lord. So man alive. So there you go. Quinto Sol. That was an impressive effort. And I will say,
after a stumble too. Jeez.
Yeah, after a serious stumble on a horse that usually likes to be like right on the lead, and to really show a dimension of being able to come from off the pace was particularly impressive. And one of the things I'll say is I think we should actually just stick to handicapping 2-turn races at Assiniboia, because this is where we do well. So
almost never happens.
Yeah, no, this is I somehow managed to give out the winner in all 3 2-turn races. The rest of them I don't need to talk about. So we'll stick to just capping 2-turn races on capping the cards. So appreciate everybody coming and hanging out tonight. We're going to hang on just to see how much this damn superfecta would have paid that if I just played it straight.
Just the 3 and the 1 there, my goodness.
Yeah, just to regret things. So
Faster. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. It kills me.
Too. We had it.
So
you had the two. You like the two, Matt, right?
Yeah, I picked.
Yeah, that was my top pick. Yeah, the Quinto Sol was my top pick.
Sean liked the 4, and me and Carson liked the 3 and the 1. So we were there.
Yeah, we were. No, we were there. So
hopefully, Uncle Sully, you held on. Who did you have? I think he was pulling for the.
He had the 2, so he's going to do well in the $25 game. He probably might end up winning.
Nice.
So, yeah, absolutely.
Uncle Sully, are you new to Stable Duel? I'd like to know. Are you?
Yeah, I think he might be. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't make assumptions. I did in my $25 stable. I did have the 2 and the 3 in the last race. So I'm going to make up some ground here in this last race. Quinto Sol was used by 39% of stables, and Monstradamus was used by 28%. So popular, but not like overwhelming, where like you're not going to make up any ground on people.
Oh,
so
nice.
Second ever contest.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome, Uncle Sully. Congratulations, man. That's great.
You're gonna meet me.
Well, Uncle Sully, the cool part is you now, by finishing in the top 5 in the $25 contest and probably winning it, you are going to gain automatic entry into the winner take all $1,000 contest on Manitoba Derby Day at Assiniboia 4 Stable Duel. So you're automatically entered in that race. You don't have to pay anything. You're automatically entered in that one and automatically qualify for that $1,000 winner take all. So here we go with the payouts. Quinto Sol pays $4.90 to win. Explosive pays $3 to place. And Monstradamus plays $3.10 to show. Then you had House Limit and Roaming Union closing out your super high 5. The $1 Superfecta paid $271. The high 5 paid $8.93. The Exacta paid $5.90. So listen, we had a good night here. We had a fun night. We gave out some winners. Uncle Sully wants to do a Manitoba Derby road trip. I don't blame you. You can count me in for that. That would be fun. You know, coming from the Midwest in Kansas, that's actually not too far. You could just go straight north. Anyway,
from the true Midwest.
Yeah, and Joe Palmentary bringing up a great point. The Antonio Whitehall slump continues. I don't think Antonio had a single winner tonight. So that is absolutely notable. So listen, appreciate everybody hanging out. Carson, always appreciate you taking the time, and especially with the conditions and everything. So
of course,
wishing wonderful.
Of course, Dane Nelson gets the win in that one, not the one that.
I know. I hear you. You'll have to let us know what the pea patch is like this weekend. And if it is as hot as miserable as Dennis Trusty always claims it is, because Dennis claims it's like the hottest place on earth, and he complains about it all the time. In terms of humidity.
I'm from Charleston, South Carolina, and then lived in Florida, so it's got to be pretty hot. But we'll see.
I'm with you on that one. So, Colin, thank you so much for hanging out. Make sure to check out all of our stuff that we have here on Trust the Profits. Good night, everyone. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. It's always a lot of fun. Until next time, friends, my name is Matthew DeSantis for Colin and Carson. Remember, it's now post time.